You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. Another Sunday, another show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and also on 104.1 FM. Don't forget, if you want to listen to the show on the internet, you can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. All right, it's kind of hot. Yes, it is. We are here in the southwest. Average day, it's about 110 degrees. The beautiful thing, though, that it's dry. I love it. Honestly, people say, are you crazy? 110, 115? You know what? I never even really sweat. I mean, yes, you lose salts and all this stuff, but it's handleable. If you're a little used to it, it's beautiful. Of course, don't go under the sun at 12 o'clock, high noon. You're going to cook like a boiled eggs. But beside that, it's beautiful, and I'm enjoying the summer. Now, when it's hot like this, before we go into the show, I need some energy, and I need some to stay cool. So I used to like also espresso. Even when it's summer, I drink it hot. But once in a while, I did a little variation. I would like to share with you. First of all, you need to get Zanna coffee. You know that. That's the way you support the show. www.zannacoffee.com. You pick the blend you like. My favorite is a straight shot espresso. Then, of course, what do? You make your own coffee the way you like it. And then you make it in the little ice cubes. And you put it in the freezer. Guess what? Whenever you're thirsty, you want a little bit of, caffeine and feel a little hot, guess what? Get a little cube of iced coffee and put it in your little cup and let it sit for a few minutes, and it's going to be really nice and cold and super freeze. I love it. This is just the way I like to drink Zanna coffee. Now, let's go talk about serious stuff, not because Zanna coffee is not serious. In this show, I bring you always information and guests that normally you will never probably find in a real commercial station. But we are a commercial station. Why we are doing this? First of all, because I want to thank KTOX that let me talk about these topics. I think in the area we are pretty much the only one. We can talk about these things, and I am really thankful. And of course, I would talk this about anyway, even just through the internet, but let's not forget, this information, it is not just some sort of entertainment. These are real facts that I always invite you to verify. Now, the guest I will bring right now, it's from Rome, Italy. I had him already on my show a few times, at least a couple of times. Great feedback, by the way, from the listeners, because the information is very unique. This man is not just a regular guy that works at the bank. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong if you work 9 to 5 at the job, but this guy is being, let's put it this way, chosen through his lineage, his family, and also through, the way he was able to go through into a club, let's put it this way, that is not exactly the general golf club, something that you can, join like that. Let's put it this way, it's the Illuminati club. And he wrote several books. He's a book author, and he's trying to warn us about what's going on behind the scenes of the, let's say, global elite, what they're really doing. So I would like to say, let me just bring him on. His name is Leo Zagami from Rome, Italy. Leo, are you there?
Yes, I am, and thank you for having me back on, Gianluca.
Thank you very much, Leo. I always enjoy the information because I said, you say things that, unfortunately, I wish you were wrong. I wish you were just, a little cuckoo. But unfortunately, what the things you say in your books, then when I go out to verify and double check, they're real. And freaks me out a little bit because I tell you, sometimes I wish you were just writing a bunch of novels. That would be great, entertaining. But the things you're saying are real. And sometimes let's say your ratio is way too high to be real, and freaks me out a little bit. But the good thing about this, it gives us the opportunity to learn, to have an understanding who is our enemy, and to try to learn how to defeat it. Now, before we go ahead, I would like you to introduce yourself briefly, who you are. You, as I said, you're not just a regular guy writing books. You're also part of a special elite group that, is not easy to get in. You cannot just join like you joined the golf club. So tell us a little bit about you, please, Leo.
Yeah, well, in synthesis, I would say that from a family experience, family background, came this privileged membership within certain elite circles, and also in esoteric magical orders that we commonly refer to as the Illuminati, which I have then described in my books. I actually started my mission as a necessity to stay alive in 2006. I soon understood, though, by staying on the internet in the alternative media for 2 years, between 2006 and 2008, that there wasn't really that much freedom, because there was so much disinformation, so much manipulation of the content of what you were trying to portray, explain, how can I say, I was really having a difficulty in keeping my message clear down to the point, because it was always interfered by people with their own agenda. So then I decided to write books, which was a new experience for me. I started in Japan, and then I published, after publishing a few books in Japan, I started in Italy. I published 8 books in Italy, and then I managed to gain a contract, reach this dream come true of finally publishing in the US with, let's say, a big independent publisher and a big independent distribution, especially because IPG distribution in Chicago is the second in the country. So with them, I am finally able to reach all the readers who are interested. But you'll be astonished, Gianluca. Unfortunately, still a minority reads the written paper nowadays, because the majority of people seem to have a very short span of attention, and after the first or second page on the internet, they switch off their brains. So to actually gain the attention of the majority of people, I should write a novel. Maybe I would gain more attention.
Leo, I have this reality, at this age, right now, we are in an age that, differently from the Middle Ages, where only the novelty were able to afford to buy books, okay, and to be educated. In this age that we're living now, to be ignorant is a choice. It is not more like something, oh my God, I am poor, I cannot afford books. So it's free. You can buy books for free now. I mean, I know it's a weird way to say, but the point, you can get information for free. I know some of your Kindles, you can also get them for free. I mean, the point is, it's not about, it's about people really refusing, or maybe even just already being too stupid, and I'm not trying to put them down, to be dumbed down, to even be able to understand what's going on. Because that's the plan. They try to dumb down humanity. That's the reality. So I don't know, but meanwhile we are here, and that's the purpose of the show. I'm trying to, let's say, show to the rest of humanity, at least to the listeners, that there is something going on, and it's more than just football or soccer or whatever you show on TV.
That's in fact a great, great job you're doing, and thumbs up for that. Because, there is people like you who are trying to get the message through to an audience which is not very receptive. But I would say that maybe in the US you are more lucky than here in Europe, Gianluca.
Oh,
you know the situation here in Italy from close hand. So
you're right.
Know how bad it is here.
You're right. Not only better off, but you know that the way things you say in Europe, you could be persecuted politically, also criminally and civilly. I mean, let's say you say something about the Pope, okay? That is your opinion, and also based on fact. You could be sued and also pay a fine for vilipending your religion, whatever they call it, okay? Let's say you say something like Brigitte Bardot did about the Muslim invasion of Europe, okay? A very innocent letter to the editor a few years ago. They don't have First Amendment in France, and so much that Brigitte Bardot, she was forced to pay 14,000 euro, like almost $15,000 or $16,000 just as a fine, because they were found it was a hate speech, even there was no hate at all. So that's the reality. We are better off here. That's why we hope this communication can be heard also to through our friends in Europe, Sweden, Germany, everywhere. Now let's talk about first of all your work. You have a new
Yes.
project, okay, that I'm here in front of me, and I'm ordering right now because I like to support independent author like yourself. I mean, this is not just about the dollar that you get. I think, every job must be, my opinion, when it's well done, paid. I like to write stuff too, and
Thank you, Gianluca. That's very kind of you. I think you are one of the few people who thinks this way, and that's why I respect you very much.
No,
you are doing an excellent job in supporting my work, because we are getting really very little money out of it, because you can imagine the cost of this whole procedure of translating and putting it together and then having it out with a major distribution, which takes the majority in the end of the money you make with a book. So the author is always left really counting peanuts. But that's better than nothing, because I think that in a way still the fact that you bring it out on hard paper, on a book, this information makes it more safe for me then, because you see it's increasingly difficult to keep privacy over the internet. And also people feel at times threatened by having certain information on the desktops and so on. So the fact that they can just have a book that they can bring anywhere and it's private, it's quite something these days that is picking back. They thought that digital books like Kindles and so on will be the majority of the reading by now, but instead there's still a minimum part, because the freedom of the book is still a great thing.
No, I agree. By the way, I love the idea of books for many reasons. One of the things, first of all, it's mine. I can hold it in my hands. As much as I understand the concept of e-books, you can reach probably more people faster. But the idea of paper, I can bring it with me in the bathroom while I'm in my bathtub and read a book in every place I want. And more important, something stays with me forever, because the internet may go down, they may shut it down, they may delete titles. I mean, remember, they can censor everything on the internet. Once you have
what worries me more is the increased usage of cloud, of various clouds that are not really anything else than servers that can be in the hands of the enemy, and by that, in that way, control your life, can erase your life in any moment. I mean, it's very dangerous. So I always advise people to make their own backups on hard disk, because it's a much safer option.
Yes, it's true. I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned. I like my library. I saw you have a beautiful library too. And I like to, even just watch the books. I like sitting down.
Books and hard documents are even better. I mean, when you have an archive on paper of material that you can bring back up, and it really describes this whole world. I'm very happy of having my archives, my books, and I will not give them for anything in the world. The same thing is also with my records. I'm very attached to this whole concept of archiving, which I think in a way, even if it's done probably for some in a primitive way, is still safer, and it's also closer to the mind of a person, because when you put a light in front of your eyes and you're reading a Kindle or you're reading something on a computer, you have a light in front of your eyes, remember. You don't have a piece of paper which, it's a reflection of the light you project on it, but you can even read it under the sun anywhere. You don't have an artificial light. There you always have an artificial light. So I think that your eyes need to rest, and sometimes reading maybe becomes a stressful experience in the digital format. But I mean, it's an option that we still like to have, that of course every writer has these days, doing e-publishing in various directions, so we do it. But as I said, we still are old-fashioned, and we prefer that. And in case the so civilization goes to shambles and it completely disappears, we know that of course a lot of information will be lost if it's all left in the virtual format. Yes.
Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the contents of this book, Confessions of an Illuminati in Volume 3.
Confessions takes it from here, from this idea of wanting to bury a seed, that will grow up in the decades and centuries to come. The idea of a trilogy where for the first time we go really deep into the esoteric, into the manipulation game, into the psychological game, into the sectarian and religious game of this new world order, of these Illuminati. Who are the Illuminati? We started, as you know, talking with the volume 1 on this trilogy which described a little bit how the whole Illuminati network is made up, and how I interpret also the word Illuminati, because of course, if you have to be traditional, the order of Adam Weishaupt only had a limited time span. So, Illuminati is a much wider concept that was unprecedented, and of course was born a long time before Adam Weishaupt, and comes from ancient Atlantis through Egypt, and then into our civilization here in the West and in the East. It's incredible the amount of information that we have gathered and that I have managed to work on for many years to put together this trilogy that finally is coming out in the English format. And now the third chapter of it describes, in fact, the subtitle should give you an idea a little bit about what it's about. Espionage, Templars and Satanism in the Shadows of the Vatican is very prominent also here in volume 3, the role of the Vatican in all this. We have the first chapter dedicated to the knighthoods, specifically going through the various traditions of the various knighthoods, their links with Freemasonry, and then we go into the Holy Grail. I finally explain what is this Holy Grail.
Okay, let's start 1 second, one thing at a time. First of all, I have a question. Something probably I forgot to ask you my other 2 interviews. Regular people that, they don't come from families with connection, at least bloodlines, you can just say, I want to become one of the Illuminati. It doesn't happen like that, okay? You were born into a family. Tell us a little bit about your background, because I know that's important to understand, even that, people sometimes listening to the show say, okay, who is this guy? Is making things up. This is not just like, tomorrow I want to say luca-zanna now wants to become a grandmaster of some secret organization. It doesn't happen like that. Who is Leo Zagami? What is your background? And how does somebody really can become part of this organization?
Well, in my case, it's actually these organizations that want me inside this organization, because I am from certain bloodlines that guaranteed to these various organizations that are linked to Freemasonry, the Knights Templars, and all the Western esoteric initiatic tradition, guaranteed them, let's say, not only a credibility, but a continuation in transmitting them the genuine tradition. For that reason, I haven't really come out of the lower parts of the pyramid, as you know, but from much higher in this pyramid and chain of power. And I have come out for a necessity when I fought against the injustices, but then I saw it was impossible to sort it out from within without really bringing out in the outside world these truths. And my experience comes from, of course, being the son of a young psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, very known in Italy for having been the first to experiment with Jung psychiatry, with the Carlo Tenuto, and then in Switzerland with Carl Gustav Jung, which was called Meyer. And I also talk about this, in fact, in volume 3 of my Confessions, the link with the Illuminati and Carl Gustav Jung, and also the links with sacred magic and mind control. But there is not only this element, there is also the political element that comes from the fact that my grandfather was a senator. He was married with an aristocrat from Sicily, from a very ancient bloodline, who the Marchesi de Gregorio, barons of the Sacred Roman Empire, princes of Santeria. And then, of course, I have my mother's side, which is linked to the family of the Queen Mother, the Lion family, the Earl of Strathmore and Scotland. So this is really having it just synthesized, because then it's much more complex and much wider. And in fact, 3 books of over 300 pages each have described, or have attempted to describe my links with this underworld of the Illuminati and how they operate. The Illuminati also operate in various types of groups. It can be the Knighthood, it can be the Masonic Lodge, it can be the Illuminati, Illuminist order, of various kinds, and I have tried to explain in my books this whole network. Now, we arrive to volume 3, and of course this description continues, and and I go in some other parts, also my personal link with but of course it's a mix between a bio, an essay, and it wants to be also a manual that people will be able to gain information that they can then maybe go and research further themselves, because I always, as you have noticed from the previous writings of mine, dear Zanna, I am very meticulous in giving citations, sources that are credible, that one can research, confront, and for this reason you can have also a look and see that it's not a book of superficiality here. It's a very complex kind of book, and the whole trilogy is very complex. So,
let me tell you something. I agree, because every time I read your books, I always find reference. You don't just start to say, okay, let's start to say this, and this. Also, because you could be sued very easily, especially in Europe. If you say something that is not true, oh my gosh, you could go to jail.
The laws here are much much more strict than in America, and for this reason I tend to be very meticulous about the citations and the way the citations are made and the documents in my hands.
Now let's go to the point of this book, Confessions of the Illuminati, of an Illuminati, Volume 3. The subtitle says, Espionage, Templars and Satanism in the Shadows of the Vatican. I mean, just saying these things. In Italy, if you don't have all the things to corroborate, you know what happened. If you go and say something bad about the Pope in Italy, they can come and pretty much give you a citation, and they may also arrest you if you don't pay the citation. Vilipend your religion, at least the last time I remember when I was in Italy years ago. So, without giving too much.
But my book has none of all that. It came out, it sold more than, I think, around 3,000 copies in the Italian edition. And it was pretty heavy, of course, on the Vatican and everything else. Some say it even led to the resignation of Ratzinger. I must say that this American edition, of course, has been updated and has even more material that probably would have been more difficult for me to publish here in Italy. But of course, I am now bringing everything out gradually, also here in Italy. But I never had any problems legally. Only once, in Volume 1, I had this grandmaster who brought me to court because he thinks that I have led his credibility, while instead he comes from an irregular lodge in Calabria. He is basically known to be completely out of his mind. In fact, the Italian courts have actually sanctioned that he wasn't even suitable for working in his own job because he used to be a guardia carceraria. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was the only lawsuit I received, and it kind of, when we went there with my lawyer, it seemed like they had set up the whole thing, but then because of the fact that my lawyer is quite clever, and he noticed that the first edition was not published in the place where they actually brought us, which was Perugia, but it was published in Milan. And you see, there were 4 different editions of Volume 1, because it was a highly successful book. I sold 5,000 copies of that book.
Yeah. So
in Italy.
The point is, this is exactly the point.
But in the end, you see, they had to move the whole court case, and I think that if you can imagine all the names I made. I made in my books published in Italy, in 8 books I published in Italy, almost every possible name, and I've never been sued because of the fact that the information is, of course, accurate.
Leo, exactly.
It has to be accurate.
Let me ask you one thing. I understand that's very important. I'm glad that you did always everything to try to also be sure that you bring facts, not just slander or opinions.
Absolutely.
But my point is, did you ever had, let's say, any special personal contact, like, hey, you, how dare you bring in my name? Hey, you, watch what you're doing. I mean, the Vatican, did he, or indirectly, I don't think the Pope is going to call you directly, but did you have any type of strange type of forces or communications try to warn you to stop doing what you've been doing?
Sure. Even before we published in Italy this trilogy, the Vatican sent me, and this actually is described in part in Volume 3, though maybe I should have made it even clearer, but this character is described in Volume 3, and is called Antonio Leonardo Montuoro, which works for the Vatican Secret Services, and he's a representative also, some kind of police association also. And this guy, who is a kind of trade union between the Italian intelligence and the Vatican intelligence, and works with the Bishop of Palestrina, Sigalini, which is very high up in Azione Cattolica, which, as you know, is a very influential Italian religious group within the Catholic Church. And so basically this guy out of the blue literally called me one day. I still remember, it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. My wife was in the shower. I was I think on Facebook something, reading something. And suddenly I received this call, and this guy is like, I'm from the Vatican intelligence and we would like to meet you for lunch. So
Lunch?
Yes.
What did you eat?
Well, no, I invited him. We were in my area. We were in, I went a little bit further in my area to meet him. I went in Carsoli, which is in Abruzzo, and we just had a very simple meal there and just a chat. Then the guy said, okay, you have to come next week to Rome. And in Rome I was brought to a guy who used to be known as the general for John Paul II, Prefetto Marinelli. Mm-hmm. And this guy is very high up, very powerful still. He's still alive. He was one of the last people that talked to John Paul II before he died. And this guy apparently was there waiting for me in the sacristy of this church.
Yeah.
Where they were doing this mass for this group of the Sanniti, which basically is those people who live in the Sannio area, Avellino, Benevento.
Yes.
Very influential in the old days of the Democrazia Cristiana. Mm-hmm. So basically I found myself with all these intelligence operatives from the Vatican, and they were nice to me, blah, blah, blah. They didn't come yet to the point, but they started to talk to me. He said, maybe, and we know that you are about to bring out a book. Let's talk about it for lunch, like after a day or two. I went for lunch, and there was this guy with the secretary, and he offered me basically even a bank account that I could have at my disposal with money coming in from people from the Vatican, making me in charge of one of their knighthoods.
Wow.
If I just quitted publishing the books that already came out in Japan.
Wow. So they were reading you. They've been following you. So they already knew about your book in Japan. That's pretty amazing. I mean... That
was pretty amazing, yes. I mean, later on we kind of collaborated for bringing Princess Kaoru and trying to see if there was a point of contact. I didn't let them believe that I let them believe that I was actually giving up on the books at that point. Instead, meanwhile, I was actually preparing for having the whole trilogy read instead than only one volume.
Yeah.
And I was posticipating the beginning of all this to February, March of 2012. And the whole thing, my relationship, with them lasted until, let's say, January, February. Then at that point, I just gave up on them because they realized that I was putting into print the book.
Yeah, so you didn't want to play the game. That's pretty honorable of you, I tell you, because I don't know exactly how much money were in that account, but many people would say, let's talk about it. After all, you don't even need to write books anymore. You're going to get paid. I mean...
Well, and I will get paid to do a job that I do for free most of the time, which is to be Grand Master of Knighthoods. I do that all the time because I'm in charge of my Masonic knighthood thing. But I mean, we don't really get paid for it. The Vatican instead gets paid because they really due people in large sums of money to be a member of their Knights Templar, of their various knighthoods. The recognized ones are only the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre and the Knights of Malta, but they also have some more secretive ones like Knights Templar, which was in this case the Knights of the Holy Spirit, of the Temple of the Holy Spirit, which is a knighthood that they have inaugurated at the headquarters of the Azione Cattolica in Rome, with the members also of the Stuart family, which I talked about extensively in my book, Volume 3. This is everything I'm telling you here. Actually, it's in Volume 3 because I wanted to make people participants of what was going on. And I think that by giving them this conspiracy reality, this insight into my world, on the risk that I'm taking, the work that I'm doing, in a way I will gain not only the respect, but also the possibility of living longer, because it's becoming for the Vatican increasingly difficult to eliminate me, and many times they have instead tried to corrupt me.
Yeah, no, this is true. Sometimes, at this point, when you want to go out, you go all the way or you don't go. Because if now at this point, if something happens to you, they will probably much convalidate all the things you've been saying even more. And they know it. So the best way probably now is just to try to ignore you, hopefully. But still, what you're doing is not exactly a Boy Scout game. Because
well, they manage in Italy to be able to censor me pretty much most of the time without then. You see, the moment in which they realized that the trilogy was so powerful, they influenced in a way the publisher, and in the end they stopped publishing it.
Yeah.
So basically, I had to change publisher. I then did Volume 1 Remix, which is a new version of it here in Italy, but the trilogy is basically out of production, and it's not even available any longer. The last copies have been sold out.
Wow.
And it has sold on the whole something like over 10,000 copies, this trilogy. That for Italy, it's an enormous number of books. We're talking actually about 12,000 copies.
Yeah.
So we're talking about an enormous amount of books for Italy. And I don't think that I will be able to get in the bookshops again like before, because unfortunately now the censorship is getting my books out of the bookshops.
Yeah, no, this is true. For Italy, it's a small market, especially, let's not forget, this topic, it is not exactly like, boobs and let's say pop culture, and, these are really interesting topics that not many people even want to even try to read or learn. So this is pretty amazing. Now, yes, the fact that these books, they probably will become collectible in Italy. For example, I know something similar happened to another author here in America. It was about the book The Silent Invasion that was written about in 2003. The book, I used to pay $13 for the book. Now it's worth they won $1,000 on Amazon or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I say, if you can, people buy books, especially controversial books like Confessions of an Illuminati by Leo Zagami, because you never know. This book today is available for a few dollars. Maybe in 2-3 years from now, maybe no more reprinted. It could be worth maybe $1,000 or even more. You never know. So listen, I want to ask you another question here. When you talk about Satanism in the shadows of the Vatican, without giving away too much, but tell us a little bit.
First of all, we have to say thank you to the American publisher who has made available for the US this book without any censorship, able to reach even Barnes & Noble and a wide spectrum of readers that might finally encounter the right information. So I'm very glad of that.
Yeah. Tell us exactly, when you say, as I said, this Satanism in the shadows of the Vatican, what type of evidence, what exactly means Satanism in the shadows of the Vatican? What they're doing? Tell us a little more.
Tell us a little bit more. I think that people have always imagined, that maybe there is something really dark going on in the Vatican, but they are not really able to pinpoint the characters or even have a remote idea of it. Now, in this book, I try to really show you the hidden heroes who have even fought this war against it, like Don Luigi Villa, who was the agent of Padre Pio against Freemasonry in the Vatican and the corruption of the Satanic Creed in the Vatican. Then I also talk about Padre Amort. Father Amort was the greatest exorcist of the Vatican, the guy who actually taught exorcism, who warned against Satanism in the Vatican. But then I also go inside the great testimony of what has happened with the unfortunate death of Emanuele Orlandi, and the testimony of his brother, who is a dear friend, Pietro Orlandi, and then the links with Satanism of people like Corrado Balducci, who was involved with ufology, the link between ufology and Satanism, but also the ancient sectarian traditions that in the Vatican are not known outside of the Vatican, but in the Vatican have seen for many centuries sects of basically small groups of pedophiles that have constituted secret orders to practice their pedophilia and to actually embrace it fully with rituals that always go into what is known to the outside world as Satanism, because this is Satanism. The way the most sick things happen when a priest that is supposed to give you, the word of Jesus is actually working for the devil. I know this might seem crazy for some people, but actually in this book I show the reality of it, the testimony of people very high up, like Alessandro Devanni, who was a former Italian secret agent of SISMI and collaborator of the Central Intelligence Agency. What happened with this Gabriela Carlizzi, with Aldo Conchione, the publisher on a book on the death of Simonetta Cesaroni, which you remember very well, probably in Italy was a big case, murder, very mysterious murder. Yeah. And like the disappearance of Emanuele Orlandi, which was never found again. So
let's remind 1 second to the American listeners, Emanuele Orlandi, maybe just a name, but in Italy who grew up, I remember was a young man at the time, was still in school. That's an interesting story. Tell us briefly about Emanuele Orlandi's story. This woman, this young lady, wasn't a woman, was a young girl, disappeared and nobody ever found her. But there is something darker than that. Tell us a little bit more about that. You remember the story?
The interesting things that have happened connected to Emanuele Orlandi are many. Now, actually, in the last few days, if you go in the Italian media, there is some new revelations that the Vatican might have a secret dossier on Emanuele Orlandi.
Wow.
And this is only one of the last things that have sprung out of a case that started, at the beginning of the 80s, when this 13-year-old, this 15, 30, now I don't remember very well, Emanuele Orlandi was basically a girl, but her particularity was that she was a member of the Vatican state, yes. Meaning that she disappeared on 22nd of June 1983. I was myself 13 years old. You probably were also very young. We grown up with this mystery of Emanuele Orlandi that was never found again. And for many years, the stories that involved the Vatican Bank, the Banda della Maiana, the secret services of various countries, and then there was a link with the disappearance of another girl, which was Mirella Gregori, who disappeared already on the 7th of May 1983 and never was found. She was 15 at the time. Yes. Now I have just 15 at the time, and basically what happened was this. She was coming out of her school of music. She was studying music. Mm-hmm. She said to have had a very big musical talent, so she went to this music school belonging to the Vatican in Santa Apollinare in Rome, which is close to Palazzo Madama. And then, from what the brother told me, because you can go on YouTube, I interviewed Pietro Orlandi at least 2 times.
Wow.
And Pietro tells me that at one point there was something to do with some job offer that she had received outside of the school from somebody who wanted to promote some perfumes or something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
This might have been, though, the same people who then kidnapped her. She called home and said, that she had this job. Maybe they will let her give her, give out flyers for this company or whatever. And then she never came home. She never was seen again. There was somebody who said that she was thrown into a car. Other people said other things, but there wasn't really any certainty. It's like she disappeared out of thin air. Nothing was ever kind of, proven,
Yeah. Can you tell me again the date? Can you say again the date when she disappeared? It was a date, June, which day of June, the 20th? Or June?
The 22nd of June, 1983.
You know better than me, there are some dates that are very important to some of these people, for sacrifices, for rituals. Anything's going on the 22nd,
well, of course,
the 23rd?
You're talking about the day after the solstice in a way, no? Or the day, or the period which is around also all that period is considered very magical between the 20th to the 24th of June or something. It's kind of very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes I see some of these situations when they need this sort of, let's say, praise, like the lamb, like almost un agnello, for the sacrifices. They're always around specific dates that they're important in the calendar, because if you worship the devil, you must follow also this sort of dates and rituals. Now, pedophile is a fact. People may not believe in the devil, that's another story, but they believe it. More important, we know that there are facts and evidence that the Vatican is being covering up, and we've been exposing them through lawsuit, and even the Pope and the Church is being forgiving priests. They've been admitting, confessing to be, let's say, raping children and also having AIDS. This is so sick, beyond sick. So the point is, we know very well that the Church, the Vatican, is being covering up about the pedophile. That is not something happened just the last 10 years. It's something long time. Now, the next step is, why they do this? Are they just sick bastards, or there is also something like deeper and darker, like they use the children for also something more sinister, like, for example, these devil rituals? Is there any human sacrifice?
Well, in fact, there's been information from time to time linking first the disappearance with a character known as the Americano, then some kind of link between this character and Boston, and the Boston priests that were involved in pedophilia, and then all this linked to satanic reality. Now, for the first time in my book, actually, I show a very interesting picture, which is demonstrates that there's been something very strange going on in the Vatican, because this picture shows Father Corrado Balducci, an exorcist, celebrating an exorcism with the head of the Satanist. With a woman lying on the floor. Incredible, no?
Wow.
But at the same time, this guy who is celebrating this ritual is the one from a group called Navona 2000, and Pietro Orlandi told me that a few days after the disappearance of Emanuela, they got a message, and this message basically said that she had been kidnapped by a satanic group, and this message was coming from within the Navona 2000 group. Now, the Navona 2000 group was a group of esoteric spiritualists, people that followed the spiritism under the guidance of a guy who is also a Satanist. So there has been some links there that are quite... when I started to study this case, and I had the possibility of spending a lot of time with Pietro, asking him some questions, this one was one of the most interesting ones, because he had just disregarded this message like it was nothing. They received hundreds of things, codes, messages, written messages, all kinds of things in the days following the disappearance of Emanuela. So then he didn't really give the right importance to this guy saying, I called from within a group called Navona 2000, and your daughter is in the hands of Satanists. He should have taken immediately that more seriously, but he didn't know what the group Navona 2000 was. He didn't even know if this guy was joking, you understand?
Wow, yeah, no, I understand. This is
So when he actually finally, he told me this thing, and I said, but you don't know what Navona 2000 is? He was, no. I said, listen, it's a very dangerous group because it's in the hands of a guy called Fulvio Rendel, and Fulvio Rendel is a Satanist. That when Marilyn Manson comes to Italy, he puts Fulvio Rendel on the stage.
Wow. I didn't know that. So
this is really some creepy stuff. And I investigated this case thanks to a friend, priest, I know, an exorcist, who is an ex-guy from the Special Forces of the Carabinieri, who then converted and became a Catholic priest.
Wow.
And I followed this case by sending this Catholic priest in disguise in certain areas and finding information about this priest of Santa Apollinare, who was linked then later to a place where they celebrated satanic masses with this guy who was in Navona 2000 and who was at the time a very known Satanist in Rome, Ephraim Del Gatto.
Wow, I didn't know this is interesting. I mean, what I like about you, as I said, I've been reading your books. You mention names, you mention facts that you can just go out and start to, spread out names. They're all somehow verifiable by sources, and it is disturbing, the things I'm listening. Keep going, please.
Well, I hope that people understand the importance of my book, Volume 3, because I describe all this in a very accurate manner, and I also give new information regarding this case. And it's very interesting that now in the last few days this case is resurfacing in the Italian media, and I hope that this case will be in some way reopened, though they have closed this last year,
Yeah.
So I mean, we are finding ourselves a case that because it lacks any form of evidence, or even the evidence that was given. At one point, somebody called on TV station Rai 3, on the program Chi l'ha visto, which is a famous Italian TV show.
Yes.
And said, basically, we have the flute of Emanuele Orlandi. And this flute you can find in this place. And actually they found this flute. Now, the whole thing is then, a whole mystery surrounded this flute. It's very, very, very creepy story when you don't really know how it ends, and then you have to talk with the brother, and the brother still hopes that of course, the sister is alive. As a journalist and as a writer, I followed the story very closely because I wanted this book to really bring out some new information, and for that reason I got very much involved with Pietro to really understand how this guy lives, and how he lives also his struggle for his sister. And he was very available. I mean, we spent a lot of time together, and he has always been a very, very nice person to me, and I felt very sad for him a lot of times. Yeah, I felt very sad for this person because at one point we understood that if this truth comes out, the Vatican can close down.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
So, the problem is that gives you also a measure of the fact that probably the truth will never come out. Because it's so important for the Vatican to cover up what had happened, which involves high-level members of the Vatican, a satanic orgy which ended up with cocaine and her probably having a line of this cocaine at a very young age, 15, your heart is not well formed, you can, simply die. And then there was the testimony that was given by a person from the Banda della Maiana that saw Marcinkus involved in all this. Marcinkus was, of course, also a Freemason, was known to me as a person that, of course, he could have definitely done something like that or be involved in this kind of circles because he wasn't a pedophile, but he liked young ladies.
Wow. So my point is it possible, Leo, that this organization that, of course, they really believe in worshiping the devil and they create this sort of pedophile rings, and on top, at the end, they will also do, real sacrifices. I believe that that's been happening. We have a lot of testimonials that this is nothing crazy to talk about it, but it can be really true. They use also these children or these innocents for sex rings to also control politicians or other people that may be influenced in the ring of power structure like media, because that's the way normally you control an organization. You compromise everybody, and then you can control everybody. What do you think?
I think. What as an answer to what?
The point is, beside the Vatican, beside the priest ring, beside the high cardinals, is also politicians. Could be Italian politicians,
Italian politicians, I always see them as simply slaves of this system, Jesuit system that is in control. And there is not really much to say about a bunch of politicians that would do anything to stay in power. And when they're not with the Vatican, they know that they don't have a chance to be in power. That's the problem,
Oh.
So it's all about compromises from the start.
I see.
And the same regards to the mafia. The mafia filters their money through the Vatican Bank. So,
I see.
It's a situation of corruption that today I think is obvious to everybody, because Italy is going bankrupt because of this corruption, but which is not only corruption. The problem is a lot of people say, Italy is corrupted. Okay, no, this is not about only the Italians being corrupted. This is about the Germans corrupting also the elite of the Italian political system for their own means and for creating, just a colony that deserves to be punished constantly for having betrayed them during the Second World War. We have to be true about this. It might sound completely far out, but this is the truth. The Germans are now in control of Europe, and they do it in the most undemocratic way possible.
Yes.
And Angela Merkel just went to the Pope the other day in the Vatican, and then came out of this. You could really see even the Pope subject to this control. That the New World Order has some figures that are more prominent than others. Angela Merkel has been on the game for a long time, since the Cold War. She's a skilled tool of the New World Order, of people like George Soros, people like the Rothschilds. People that, of course, have placed also a new French president who is just a puppet of Angela Merkel, who just behaved like a puppet in front of everybody during the G7 in Taormina. So when I show on my book what is happening behind the closed doors of the Vatican, the great crisis in the Knights of Malta, the possibility that there is such a big debt within the Vatican, that it will scare anybody. The Vatican has a huge debt. These, of course, are things that are not revealed every day by the traditional media, because the traditional media is too busy covering up and saying how good is Pope Francis, and even Trump has to be subject to this show with his, if he wants to stay where he is. And we saw what awkward moments there have been when Trump had to meet with the Pope. It was probably the most awkward moments of his presidency, with this whole scenario, which was completely fake. And you know that these people can't stand each other, because, of course, I'm not saying that Trump is not in the New World Order, because unfortunately, if you want to be president of the United States, you are in the New World Order, automatically, the moment in which you sit in the White House. I'm not saying he's not in the New World Order, but he tries to oppose the liberal-minded view of this New World Order. The worst scam of the New World Order has now really surfaced in this liberal communistic dream, which then will give in to the robot and transhumanism age. You see, the problem for the system of the Illuminati, for the New World Order, is how to eliminate the majority of humans at one point, to substitute them with the machine,
Yes.
The moment in which they can then but also they know that they can colonize with their machines the minds of the people, and they can make them completely imbecile, because imbecility now is in power, the power of the embassies. Now, it seems like, you go to a politician like in Italy, Matteo Renzi, or you go to Macron in France, or you go to anybody, Teresa, anybody who is involved in politics, they seems an idiot. And they are idiots because they are embassies, because this is what, they are kind of surfacing this ignorance, because they're simply puppets.
Leo,
they don't have anything to say really themselves.
It is true.
They have written...
Yeah, it is true. What you're saying is very true. They be able to manipulate humanity in the last, at least, let's say, couple generations. There was a book, I forgot, Brave New World, that through chemicals and also re-education.
Actually,
exactly.
And this whole mind control manipulation of the masses is described in volume 3, and I actually mentioned these people because I think it's very important to understand that there is an enormous mind control manipulation game being played here at a big level in Jungian Mind Control, which is a chapter of my book, volume 3. I mentioned Julian Huxley, which was the brother, as you know.
Yes.
And of course, there are links to a senior member of the Scottish Rite, which was Winfred Overholser, and basically he was the director of the St. Elizabeth Hospital in Washington, D.C., that usually provided mental health care services to members of the U.S. Armed Forces, and presided also over the mental health of the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, that after the war became the CIA.
Wow. Let me stop you once. Unfortunately, time went so fast. We're already an hour, almost at the end. I need to do this. I want people out there to understand one thing. This information, in my opinion, is priceless. Because as you said, you could have just say, let's play game. They made you an offer. Shut up. We get paid. And we never would have a chance to get this information. It is a small price compared to when people go out to buy stupid coffee at Starbucks. You pay $13 and change, and you can get free shipping. Go to Amazon.com or anywhere else you can find Confessions of an Illuminati in Volume 3, Espionage, Templars and Satanism in the Shadows of the Vatican by Leo Zagami. I appreciate it if you support this author. Leo, I want to thank you again. We have to leave now.
Oh, well, thank you for having me back on your show. I will probably contact you again when my other book comes out next year or in early 2019, which is Invisible Master. I hope to have made sure that you understood at least the concepts that I'm trying to expressing in Volume 3. It's really the last chapter of this trilogy in which we want to extract the man in the cave to come out and to see that light and to not be afraid anymore of this oppression, because if we are all aware of what's going on, we might be able to free this world.
Perfect. Thank you. Don't go away, guys. Ready for our number 2. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with luca-zanna.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.FM network. Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration. Chambered in 223 Wild. That can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle, ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Trade on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves are never armed. I am not a slave. Free 30 rounds magazine were allowed by the law. Free laser engraved ejection port. Don't trade on us. For just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com. www.freedomrifle.com. Get your freedom rifle now.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and also on 104.1 FM. And don't forget also, if you want to listen on the internet, go to lovegunsfreedom.com. This is the second hour, the hour about guns. As you know, as I said many times, the gun, the rifle, the firearm in general is just a tool. It is an extension of your body to try to defend your life, defend your liberty. That's what it is. The real situation here, that you, your brain, your heart, your body is the real weapon. I said the good thing though about a gun or a firearm in general, it is called the great equalizer. What does it mean? That, when you have, for example, a person that could be, let's say, in a physical disadvantage, like maybe sometimes women, sometimes, I know women that they're better than men when it comes down to defend themselves. But in general, a woman normally it's less stronger than a man or an older person. To have a firearm, that's what exactly means to have a great equalizer. You put everything in the same level because, I don't care if you're like 100 pounds lady, when you have a handgun and you know how to use it, you can stop even a 300 pounds, criminal out there. So that's what I meant. But this hour, most important, it is not just about guns. It is how to create a mindset to, let's say, avoid to become a victim. Also to learn, the most important thing is called awareness, to avoid the situation that you can, maybe have to face, the sort of violent confrontation. So that's the purpose. Of course, we'll talk also about guns, but the most important thing is how to avoid that violent act. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't see it coming, you weren't that good. You want to be sure that at least you were aware, but sometimes you can't. Now, I've been talking the last couple of weeks about this NRA new certification that I achieved. It's called Refuse to be a Victim Instructor. And it's pretty much a program not about guns, but how to avoid to become a victim. And that applies to everybody out there. Today I would like to bring a guest, a lady that she's been one of my first listeners, I guess, and she's also been on Facebook many years, at least a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, being in touch, and I know a little bit about her. And she's been asking me, say, look, I would like to be on the show. I would like to share a very disturbing story. And this is a story that maybe many other women may have had this sad experience when somebody tried to kill you. Not many people, but I know that many people out there, especially ladies, they face violence more than men sometimes. So the idea is to try to listen and learn from her experience, and maybe how we can avoid to find ourselves in the situation. Okay? I don't want to call myself an expert, but guess what? I think right now I should, after all this certificate I got. So at least I would like to give you my 2 cents opinion, how to avoid to become a victim. And in this case, especially if you're a lady. So if you're a woman, a lady, please listen up. Even if you don't have a gun, if you hate guns, that's fine. This is not just about guns. It's about how to become, let's say, more aware of your environment and avoid the situation. Now, let me shut up. Let me bring Cheryl from Pennsylvania, and let's bring her on. Cheryl, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Very good. Nice to talk to you again. And let's go straight to the story, Cheryl. Tell us a little bit, first of all, exactly in your words, what happened to you, when happened, and give us some details, okay? I know this is a sad story. Hopefully it doesn't bring you back bad memories, but I appreciate it sharing it with us, so maybe other women out there can listen and maybe can learn how to avoid such a situation. So give us the story. I give you the floor. Go ahead.
Okay. This story took place when I was living in Philadelphia. I was going to school at St. Joseph's University. I was working at Episcopal Hospital, and I was living in South Philly. I had moved to South Philly because I was burglarized in Center City. So I was looking for somewhere safe to move to. And before I get to my story where this guy actually followed me home, pushed his way into my apartment and tried to kill me, I want to give some quick stats really fast. Every 24 minutes, a woman is murdered. Every 5 minutes, a woman is raped. Every 2.5 minutes, a sexual assault takes place against a woman.
Wow.
Every 54 seconds, a woman is robbed, and every 24 seconds, an assault takes place against a woman. Just in the United States, the next hour, 900 thefts will take place against a woman, 189 violent crimes against a woman, 124 assaults against a woman, 24 sexual assaults, and 12 women will be raped. The average woman, like you said, is not as strong as a man. So women are starting to take up firearms. In 2005, it was 13%. 2011, 23%. And then 2014, 20 million women had taken up firearms.
I'm just curious. Cheryl, 1 second only. I'm curious. You seem like you're very prepared. Where did you get these statistics? From which source?
Oh, I got it from YouTube.
Okay.
It was a thing about violence against women. I wanted to go over real quick before I get into my story the charges that were brought against him. I'll just use his first name because he is out of prison and he is on Facebook, so I'm just using his first name. The charges that were brought against Michael was simple assault, aggravated assault, attempted rape, indecent assault, unlawful restraint, recklessly endangering another person. I had argued and fought with Shelley New, the assistant DA, that I wanted attempted murder. I wouldn't get. They didn't give it to me. But at any rate, this is my story. A lot of times I would be late coming home from St. Joe's because I was involved in extracurricular activities, and this particular night was one of those cases. I guess it was like 11:30. And anybody that lives in South Philly knows that more people own vehicles than there are parking spaces. So they double park on streets, and even on Broad Street, you'll see like two right up in the middle of Broad Street. That night, I was coming down Broad, and I lived on Porter, and right below Porter on Broad, there was a parking spot against the curb. So I took it. I thought, oh, my lucky night. And after I parked and I got out, little did I know that a couple of cars down from me, this guy named Michael had parked in front of a funeral home, and the funeral director came out and told him to move it. He had a funeral next day, and Michael refused. Instead, he started following me. Well, I mean, I thought somebody was behind me, and I turned around and I saw him, and I thought, well, I don't own Broad Street, and he may live around here. He may be going to the bar right there at Broad and Porter. So I kept walking. And when I got to Porter, I turned on to Porter, and I went right past the bar, the door to the bar entrance, and I turned around, and he was still following me. And I thought, all right, I guess he's not going to the bar. And I said to him, are you following me? And I thought he'd say, no, I live down something, because I don't know everybody in that neighborhood. Instead, he said, yes. And I said, why? He said, because I want to use your bathroom. I said, I don't even know you're not using my bathroom. I said, go in and use the one in the bar. And I thought that would be it. He would go use the one in the bar. Now, I should have probably went in the bar, but he was right at the entrance. So I would have had to get past him. And I was tired. I wanted to go home and go to sleep. And I kept walking. And he kept following. And I started going faster, and he started going faster. And then I broke into a run, and he started running. And I finally came to my apartment building, which was really an old house that had been converted to 3 apartments. Mine was on the bottom floor. I ran up the steps, had my key out, put the key in a doorknob, went to turn the doorknob, and he came up behind and pushed the door, and we both went flying through and landed on my living room floor. And I had to wrestle with him. I got away, and I thought, do I go back out into the hallway? There's the other 2 apartments aren't occupied right now, and he'll get me probably before I get outside. So I thought, well, my phone is in my bedroom, I have to get through the kitchen and get to it. So I started running towards the bedroom. He got me in the kitchen. We wrestled. And I got away again. And I thought, now I'm finally in the bedroom. I can get that phone. I was just ready to pick up that phone and call the police. He grabbed me. And Luca, this is 100% true.
Wow.
He grabbed me. He threw me down the bed. He got on top of me. And he took the white blanket that I had laying on my bed, and he started stuffing it down my throat.
Oh, my gosh. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but did you scream? Anybody in that building?
No, I couldn't.
Of course.
Blanket in my throat.
I mean,
and I kept thinking thoughts like, you always wonder how you're going to die. You always wonder what day it's going to be.
Yeah.
So this is it. I'm going to die tonight, and it's going to be murder.
Wow.
And then I thought, this, and you said I can say this word, this sick bastard, what did I do to him to do this to me?
No, I mean, listen, you could say every word you want. Unfortunately, we are on the radio and we have some limitation with the FCC, but I understand the rage and the terrible moment of unfortunately, not many people has to face that. This is like death or life, and it's unfortunately not even a quick death.
Yeah.
Could be a death after torture, even worse, and rape, for God's sake.
I felt a blanket going down further into my esophagus, and I thought, this is it, I'm dying. And I remember thinking, God, please help me. And all of a sudden, I don't know if he put too much blanket in, it was a gag reflex or what, but my teeth came down and I bit him.
Wow.
And again,
I was going to say.
He jumped off me and he said something. Yeah.
I'm glad that I was thinking the first thing I would be using my teeth. If we could beat him. Did you have a chance to give him a good bite?
Oh, I did. He was bleeding. He jumped off of me screaming. And again, this is a direct quote from him. He screamed, "You," can I say the word? "You bitch, you bit me."
Yeah, I mean that's the minimum. That's like a candy compared to what he deserves. Somebody like him. So listen.
Well, I tried to pull the blanket out of my throat.
Yeah.
And I eventually got it out, and I grabbed the phone and I dialed 911, and then I got my voice back, and I said, "You sick bastard, get the hell out of my apartment. I just called the police, and they're on their way."
Wow.
And he looked up at me, and then he ran. But when he got out to Broad Street, the police were there because the funeral director had called the police because he wouldn't move his car. And they arrested him. And he backed up my story, the funeral director, because he saw him following me. So anyways, I started having nightmares every night. And even though I couldn't get to sleep, and I had to go to work. But his wife, I guess, had the luxury of staying home. So she came over to see me the one day, and I was at work, and my landlord talked to her, and he said, "Cheryl, I have to tell you, she looks just like you." And he said, "She told me that night that she and Michael had a big fight, and she felt he took it out on you for her." Then next was the hearing. I had to go through a hearing before to even go to court. And Shelley New and Ed Rendell were in charge of this circus. I mean, they tried to make it look legit. They had NOW there. You know what NOW is, Luca? The National Organization of Women.
Mm-hmm.
They had them there. I don't remember how many. There was a lot of them. And at one point, and I was escorted by some of my friends from St. Joe's, muscular guys that said, if he touches you again, we'll take care of him. The judge said at one point, I don't know if I can be considered a weapon. What? And these ladies from now all jumped up screaming, "What?" And he said, on second thought, it can be as this case is going to court. Now my Shelley New nightmare started. That was December, Luca, to April. That lady would call me every morning, noon, and night.
Wow.
And she would say things like, "Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing? This is Shelley. I know you must be nervous. You don't want to go through this case because you're going to be nervous in court, and there's too much stress. Why don't you just drop the charges?" Wow. And I would say the same thing every time she called. "No, Shelley, the man tried to kill me. I'm not dropping the charges. I don't want him to walk to do this to me or to any other woman out there." And she would call at noon, "Hi, Cheryl, at my job." And she'd say, "Hi, Cheryl, did you have time to think about what we talked about this morning?" "No, Shelley, I'm at my job. I'm working. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not dropping the charges." And then in the evening, how you had all day to think about it. What do you think? You're dropping the charge? Well, she kept doing this, and then finally, I got a love letter from Ed Rendell saying, Cheryl, why are you so stubborn and persistent? Why won't you drop these charges? All you're going to do is have a lot of stress and a possible nervous breakdown. You got to listen to this next part. And Michael, on the other hand, is not going to get anything because he is white. His wife's family has a lot of money. He never did this before, and he goes to temple. And I stared at it, and I crunched, and I threw that letter. And I wonder if his friends would like to see that letter today. I should have kept it. When he said, well, because the man's white and all that kind of stuff. You know, it was ridiculous.
So let me ask you something. I want to be sure I got it down. So after this attack, you know, this assault that you had into your place, you know, the bastard was able to somehow force himself into your apartment, correct? And
right.
And bottom line, did he try to sexually assault you? That's also another part I didn't really understand. There was besides trying to shove stuff in your mouth and killing you.
That was the interesting thing. I'll get that to you at the courthouse. But with the court case, no, he didn't. I wanted attempted murder because that's what he was doing.
Yeah. So there was was attempted murder, but there was not even. It wasn't like try to rape you at the same time. Was it doing that too, or just attempted murder?
Well, he brings that out when the case was finally dropped. He said he only wanted to have sex with me, even if it meant rape. I think, and I'll get to that. I think he plea bargained for lesser penalties. Yeah. And that was one of them. So, I mean, even if you rape a woman, out and out rape him, you're lucky if you get 5. And attempted, he probably wouldn't have got a thing. So at the end, I looked up these charges, and he wouldn't have got hardly anything. Yeah. But at any rate,
Question: Did you meet him before? You were some sort of an acquaintance? You were like some sort of
no.
Never met him before. It was the first time out of the blue.
Yes.
Am I right? Wow.
Right.
So that's
right.
not even like, you know,
right.
some sort of...
And maybe it was because I looked like his wife, he was going to kill me. I don't know. But at any rate, as the days went on and got closer to April when the case was supposed to go to court,
yeah,
Shelley would keep calling and she'd say, then finally she got to call me and she said, Cheryl, I'm a very patient person, but you're making me lose my patience. And she said, drop these charges already. And I said, Shelley, I told you I'm not dropping them. And again, then she got nastier and she said, would call and I would just say, Shelley, I'm not dropping them, click. And then I would say, click. I wouldn't even say anything. And then finally, the one day she called, she goes, it's really getting close to the case now, it's going to court. And she said, Cheryl, I have a plan. Listen to me out, don't hang up on me. Now, this lady was supposed to be representing me. It was a joke. And I said, go ahead. She said, how about if I type up a letter that you wrote to me saying that you would like to drop these charges and not go to court if Michael would apologize to you.
Apologize. Wow.
Apologize. Yeah. And see a psychiatrist and promise never to see you again. And I said, Shelley, I'm not signing it. She called me a few days later and she goes, I have the letter already for you to sign. And I said, I told you I'm not coming to sign that.
Wow.
And then finally the last day she called, she said, you get over here and sign this damn letter. It's almost going to court. And I said, Shelley, I have something to tell you. For the last 4 months you've harassed me. And I said, I'm not scared to go to court. I'm not scared. But I'll tell you, I might be a little scared to see the man try to kill me. I said, but you know who scares me more? You. You have harassed me every single day for the last 4 months, 3 times a day. And I said, I am tired of listening to you. I don't even want to hear your name. I don't want to, I just want to get you out of my life. And you know what? As much as I don't want to see him out there walking around, I don't want to even bother with you anymore. I want to get you out of my life. I said, I'll sign the damn letter. But you know what? Look, it wasn't a letter. It was a standard form. And she filled in all the blanks. And then, they asked questions like, how much schooling you have? Do you speak English? Are you on drugs or are you an alcoholic? Do you have mental illness? And do you realize if you drop this that you'll never be able to open it? And then at the bottom was a nice little paragraph that said, do you realize that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and Shelley New was willing to take your case to court, but you dropped it because of your emotions and stress and that you couldn't face the court? I stood there when the judge was reading it, and the tears rolled down my face. I thought, such corruption. And I couldn't even say yes. I just nodded.
Wow.
And then he said, did anybody force you? And I just stared at the judge, and then finally I just nodded no. Then it was Michael's turn. And he gets up and the apology was like an apology from Michael to Michael. Mm-hmm. He said, oh, I may have been a little, my actions might not have been as honorable that night. But he said, you know what, I've suffered so much pain, and I, will live with this the rest of my life. And I looked at him like, was this a picnic for me? I didn't even ask for it.
Wow. Now he's the victim. You're right. You know what is really disturbing me is, for what you tell me, the wife defending him when, she knows for sure that best case scenario, that bastard was in another woman's bedroom, at least home or apartment, and a place that anyway supposed not to be right there. This woman, I think, is sick as the guy is, because something is really not normal, especially if she knows that I think she believes that she knows that the man is not exactly, not, forget about being a saint. This guy, he was trying to kill somebody. He was trying to use violence on you. So this woman, I tell you, is a psychotic. What's their problem? Seriously. What is their problem?
Well, I don't know, but she was sick too because he did this again, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Then he said to the court, he says, I would like to add something for the records. And the judge said, go ahead. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, my facts according to that night are different than Cheryl's. I wasn't actually going to rape her. I just wanted to have sex with her, and when she didn't want to cooperate, I wanted to rape her.
Wow.
And I looked at him and I said, you sick bastard. When were you going to do that? When I was dead?
Wow. And he said that...
And the judge says, okay, Michael, you're seeing a psychiatrist. You are never to call her at her house where she works. You are never to follow her, stand outside her apartment or where she works. And Michael agreed to it all, signed a paper, and the next day he was stalking me.
Wow.
I don't think he was a psychiatrist either. And one day I was on the Frankfurt L. People in Philadelphia knows what that is. It's like a big long train. It's on tracks and up around Frankfurt. It's up in the sky, almost as even to some of the rooftops. And then as it comes into Center City, it goes down under the gallery, the mall, and you're, like a tunnel type thing. And then when you come out in West Philly, you're even with the outside ground. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I was going and he knew my schedule. I don't know how he knew it.
Wow.
He was going from car to car. When when it was stopped, I would get off, go to another car because I didn't want to see him. And he kept following me. Finally, I got to this one car. I sat down beside this one gentleman, and he said, my God, what's going on? You're out of breath. And I said, you see that guy over there? He said, yeah. I said, a couple of months ago, he tried to kill me, stuffed a blanket down my throat, and Sally knew, and Ed Rendell harassed me till I dropped the charges. He was supposed to see a psychiatrist. He was never to see me again, but now he's stalking me and following me. And that guy said, my God, he's going to kill you. He said, I am the manager of the Spring Garden shooting range, and I will give you unlimited free lessons. You come, and I will help you. And I did. And he spent every moment. He took no breaks, no lunch hour, nothing. And he helped me get the pro marksman.
Wow, that's
meanwhile.
Okay, pretty amazing, though. Nice that you found somebody at least give you the opportunity to have, as I said, a tool to at least, have a chance. Because the point is, normally a woman against a man, unless you have a great physical training and martial arts, things like that, it's always disadvantage. But at least with a firearm, you have a chance. It's called the great equalizer for a reason. Now, how ended up this bastard? Did he finally go to jail?
Well, that's the rest of my story.
Go ahead.
At any rate, I started calling Shelley, giving her a taste of her own medicine every morning, noon and night, And she wouldn't answer the phone, so I left messages. And I said, Shelley, you know how you and Ed Rendell, you called me and harassed me for 4 months to drop those charges against Michael. You told me he'd never see me again and he would see a psychiatrist. I said, I don't know about the psychiatrist part, but he is stalking me. He's following me everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't stop, I am going to go to the judge and tell him that you and Ed Rendell forced me into signing that paper. Well, it didn't happen right away, but eventually he stopped following me. And then I moved to Andalusia, which was right outside of Philadelphia, and I thought, oh, this is probably a safe neighborhood. Right around the corner from me, Franklin Royal Medical Center, nurses were coming out and getting attacked and raped. And there was like, I think 6 or 8 of them. And then one day I turned on TV, and there's Fast Eddie Rendell. And he said, laughing and giggling, he said, I knew who it was all along. I just had to catch him and see him doing it. And I turned to TV, I was like, what a pervert. He let all those women get attacked and raped because he knew who it was. So then, the one day this is like a year later now, I'm at my job, and I get a phone call, and the guy said he was a lawyer, could I help him and his client? And I said, well, how? And he said, do you know Michael? And he said his last name, and I said, how could I ever forget him? And he said, do you remember what he did to you? And I said, yeah, he tried to kill me by stuffing a blanket down my throat. My own blanket, by the way. And he said, he said he did it again. I said, oh, no. I started crying because, I didn't want that to happen.
Wow.
And he said, will you help her? I said, yes. So I said, how? He said, well, I'm going to do a phone deposition. And I said, do I have to go to court after that? He said, no, I wouldn't do that to you. That's why we're doing it on the phone. So he said, I'm going to start recording. We did the phone deposition, and then when I finished, he said, now, Cheryl, you dropped those charges. I said, yes, I did. He said, was anybody forcing you? And that's when Luca, you would have been proud of me at that moment. I said, yes. He said, who? I said, Shelley knew and Ed Rendell. And he said, I knew it, thank you. And he said, is there anything you want to ask me or tell me? And I said, yes, tell that judge to put that sick bastard away for life so he doesn't do this to any more women. And he said, you just did. I'm still recording. And I said, get him for me and your client. He said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, a year later, it was a year later or 2 years, I was on the computer, and I saw that he did go to prison. I don't know what kind of sentence he got. But at any rate, he's out now. So probably wasn't very much. But then another day I was at work, and I would always listen to WWDB. It was a talk radio station at that time. It was very popular along the Northeast coast. I mean, people from various states, from New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Delaware and Maryland, all those states would hear him. And Irv Homer was very popular. And he said, I have Ed Rendell on today. Does anybody want to call and talk to him? So, Luca, I dialed the number, and I got through. And he said, you're on Irv Homer Show. Do you want to talk to Mr. Rendell? I said, yes, I do. And he said, go ahead. And I said, Mr. Rendell, and I said, do you remember me? I said my name. And he said, nothing. Liberals say crickets. Well, that's what it was, crickets, nothing. And I said, let me refresh your memory. So I told my story, and I said, Mr. Rendell, tell me something. How much were you paid to sell me down the river? He didn't answer. And then I said, let me tell you something else. That after you harassed me to drop those charges, Michael followed me, he stalked me, and a year later, he did it to another woman. Are you proud of yourself, Mr. Rendell? And I said, let's not forget the nurses. You let, what was it, Mr. Rendell, 6 or 8 women get raped because you wanted to see him doing it? I said, you have ruined 8 or 10 women's lives, Mr. Rendell. Do you hate women, do you? And he never, the whole time did he say a word. And then Irv says, thank you for your call. I then moved from Andalusia down to southern Chester County. And I thought I was safe there. It was in the country, and they didn't have any shooting ranges, so I stopped shooting. But I had a Rottweiler, and he pretty much kept people away. When he died, I started getting break-ins. My house has 2 high bedroom windows and 1 low. The low one you can, get in my garden, you can come right through. And the first one was in that window. The guy came in, he just ransacked the whole house, and my cat was petrified when I came home. And he was on his way out when he heard me and dropped the jewelry he was stealing. And left the windows open, the window open and the door open. It was December. So the police came over and they did a few little brushes and they said, we can't get any fingerprints. They didn't do anything. The second time I was laying on my sofa, I fell asleep, and somebody came through my kitchen window. And I guess they saw me. They went out my sliding door, left the window and the sliding door open. The third time was in 2014. I was getting these phone calls late at night. The guy would call me and say, Cheryl, are you alone? Do you want me to come over? I know you want me to come over. And I slammed the phone down, and I tried to pick it up to call the police. He was on there laughing, well, I'm still here. And the police, again, I gave all the phone numbers. They did nothing. Then a few weeks after that, my window in one of the high bedrooms, you can't get this from outside in the ground, was broken on the inside. Not the outside, the inside. And I thought it might have happened a Friday night when I heard somebody in that bedroom. I was sleeping in the low bedroom. And the next day I went over, and the window was broke. And the police came, and they said, a branch probably did it. I said, yeah, and it didn't break the outside window, but just the inside window. Well, you might have done it yourself. You might have slammed it down and didn't realize it. So, I mean, that's the way these police around here are. Then my final story was a final thing that happened. I was sleeping in the low bedroom, and something woke me up. And I looked up, and there was flashlight going up and down my window. And I said, oh, my God. I called 911 quick and put on my light. And by the time they got there, the cop says, you need a new screen. It's all ripped. I think a bird did that. I said, oh, gee whiz. Wow. I said, how about the bird that had his flashlight going up and down my window? He said, that was probably a deer spotter. So my point of all this is women are getting attacked, they're getting assaulted, raped, killed more than ever today. The police aren't really helping. The court system can be crooked like mine was, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Women need to protect themselves, like you said.
Yeah. Let me say a couple of things. This is I'm glad first of all that so far, you were lucky. You made it through. You were able to survive this violent encounter. And let's see exactly how, because this is important. I think maybe you didn't know what you were doing, but you did the right thing. You fought back. What I understand, the moment that you start to bite, with your teeth, the bastard, at that point, you are more the little lamb ready for, the final slaughter. No, you fought back and you tried to put everything you could. And I think that point, that aggressor, he didn't see it. Because the point is right now, for example, there used to be the old school, a few years ago, that when somebody tried to catch you, let's say tried to use violence on you, don't resist. Just do whatever they tell you, and probably everything's going to be okay. Guess what? That type of philosophy proved that it was a disaster, and the moment that you exactly comply, pretty soon not only you're going to get raped, but also you will get killed probably very soon. So now the law enforcement, they say, fight back every time you can. Of course, every time you have a chance to fight back. If somebody's pointing a gun at your face and you don't have the training to let's say disarm that aggressor, don't be a hero. Wait for the right occasion, the right timing. So, but the point is, what you did, in my opinion, you were able to fight back, and the fact that you beat him with your teeth, and the bleeding part of his part, inside, you were able to almost change the cars. In his, he's a coward after all. He's trying to prey on women. But the moment that he saw that the woman was any more just a woman, but was also a fighter, his world was shocked for a moment. And he gave you the opportunity to get out and somehow ask for help. Don't you think that exactly what saved you that day? What do you think?
Yes. And Luca, what charges would you have given him? Attempted murder, right?
Well, somebody tried to shout.
I looked up what attempted murder is. It's 10 to life.
Yeah.
All those other charges are nothings.
I agree.
Even if you just rape a woman, not attempted, you're lucky if you get 5.
I know. I mean, the fact that somebody's trying to shove something in your mouth, you can't breathe, that's not exactly like a love, I don't know, message or, that's not anything with love. That's somebody's trying to kill you. As simple as that. I agree.
And Luca, do you think, and this is what I always thought all along, that Michael's in-laws, who had a lot of money, were paying off the DA's office in Philadelphia? I mean, why would they go through 4 months of harassing me like that? I think they were getting paid to have me drop the charges.
No, at least I understand that something very wrong is going on with the judicial system, and also the fact that this person,
are you there?
The wife, was allowed to harass you and try to manipulate you and try to intimidate you to do what I think was the right thing to do. I mean, to press charge of somebody like that, it's a duty. It's not just something that you're doing for yourself. As you said before, you try to do also for other people.
And he did it again. He did it again.
Yeah, so it's very important. I'm glad that, at least you try everything you could. That's my bottom line. But remember.
Now, when they gave him these lesser charges, is that a way of them plea bargaining so that if he does get guilty, he doesn't get any time or very little time?
Well, as
I mean, some of them it's only fines.
Listen, the point is, he may have a good lawyer influences in town or in the area, and money, of course, can create better justice for them. It's true, when you have a good lawyer, you may always negotiate a better situation. Because after all, let's be straight. It was you and him in that room, okay? You didn't have any witnesses. And the prosecutor knows that, of course, the guy, for what you told me, he said enough things that pretty much were could be self-incriminating. But at the end of the day, something to prove like a murder, something to prove like an assault or a sexual, harassment or anything completely, it's not easy when you have no witnesses. And it's just your word against his word, and then he has a great lawyer behind and maybe a bunch of money to spread around. So, as I said, justice, unfortunately, is not for justice. Justice is always a compromise, and unfortunately, many times we are not happy with the compromise. So, I'm sorry that he didn't get what he deserved the first time.
Well, Luca, if Ed Rendell tries to run for president, I hope people remember this. He let how many women get hurt? He's not a champion of women. He gets on MSNBC and he says he's champion of women. I mean, and he gets on Fox, the same thing. He is not. He hates women. He's done so much dirt to women.
Who is this guy? Who is this person?
Ed Rendell.
Okay, I see. But at least, I don't know about the guy. I don't know about the guy.
Irv didn't like him. He called him Fast Daddy.
I don't know this guy. All I know that the specific situation with you, for what you told me, and also you sent me some documents, the proof of pretty much all the case. I always ask, to verify everything, but even, of course, we are not mentioning last names here still. It's a serious matter. Now, what I would like to say is this, the story is dramatic, and even right now, of course, I'm glad at least you had an happy handy. You made it alive. The point is what we can learn from this. That's the bottom line. How can we avoid to be in this situation? Let's just examine since all this started. This guy followed you, right? And he followed you to your apartment. Now,
right.
He was able to put somehow a foot between the door. Am I right or wrong? I mean, he forced himself in. Am I right or wrong?
When what happened was he came up behind me and he pushed against the door.
Exactly.
I had put the key in, was turning the knob.
Okay.
So all I needed was the extra push.
So let's learn the first thing, awareness. You know, when you are, no matter if you're alone or with people, I know we are not Spider-Man, we don't have eyes behind your head, but guess what? You better start to develop the type of awareness. So when you walk, no matter with whom, no matter where, always be able to scan your environment, especially if you're by yourself. So that's the first thing I would like to say, especially when you come back home. You come back home, you know, that's exactly the place that people want to know, the bad people want to know where you are, and they will try to force in themselves. So the first thing, awareness. Don't just keep going straight and, let's say, hopefully nobody's going to follow me. No. You know, if you had to stop for a second with an excuse to check the hour or check something out there, turn around, look around. At that point, the first thing is somebody's getting too close to you. Two options. Or you run, and you run fast if you can make it. Or the second thing, you will start to make so much noise and say, with your hands completely open, and scream at him, stay away. I don't want to be talking to you. I don't want to talk to you. And hopefully at that point, when you do that, you know, because you're having witnesses around you. But if you have no witnesses, if you're in a desert place, let's say deserted place, just run. Now, that's the first thing, the level of awareness I've been talking on my show, the color of awareness, it's vital. No matter if you carry a gun or not. Even if you were carrying a gun that day, if you didn't see it coming, the gun wasn't good at all. You never would have a chance to even have access to that gun. So awareness is the first real self-defense weapon. And it doesn't mean that you need to be paranoid, but you need to be able always to be in control of your surrounding 360 degrees. Number one. Number two, if somebody's following you home and you don't know that person and you have a bad vibe, your instinct probably is right. Don't go straight back home. Don't show him where you're living. At that point, call a cab. Or maybe, you know, if you're driving, drive straight to the police station or drive around and give him a chance to see if he's really following you or not. Because the last thing you want to a criminal or, let's say, predator, to know where you are. Because he may not get you today, he may come back tomorrow. So that's very important. So right there, of course, you know, you're a human being and, you know, unfortunately this information is not always available out there. And sometimes we just get relaxed. It's tired. We are late at night. But something we cannot do these mistakes. You always look around. Scan your environment. If you could have seen the bastard, probably at least 100 yards. And at that point, you had the chance to make a plan. Run faster or start to scream for attention. What do you think? If you were able to see him coming, you probably would have had a chance to avoid him, don't you think?
Well, I did see him. I just figured he lived in the neighborhood or he was going to the bar.
I'm talking about just charging you, following you close behind when you were going back home. I'm not saying just see him in the neighborhood.
Well, I would have had to wake up people. It was all homes around there.
Fine. Wake up everybody.
I thought about that, but I mean, at that hour, that wasn't right to go waking all those people up, so I didn't do that.
Listen,
I chose to run.
Somebody's trying to kill you. You wake up the Pope if you have to. Who cares? Okay, seriously. If somebody's trying to kill you, the last thing you're concerned that you're waking up somebody, and so the people will say, don't worry about it, lady. This is more than understandable, the situation, okay? So just my little 2 cents. So my point is how to avoid it. Be aware of your surrounding, and I will post again. I will probably should do again another short reviews of the color of awareness next the next Sunday show, because I think probably this is the most important self-defense type of mindset you can create to see when a problem is coming. Then, of course, when you were in the house and the aggressor was on you, you fought back, as I said. You had a chance to at least shock him for a moment, and then at that point you took that advantage to call for help. Now, when the police came, how fast before they came?
Well, faster than the ones around here, but it wasn't really fast. I mean, they were busy on Broad Street with him.
All right. Meanwhile, you know, you were dying.
They're the ones who talked me into pressing charges.
Yeah. How fast before they came? How long? 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, an hour?
10, 15 minutes.
15 minutes, it's a decent time for a big city, but at the same time, in 15 minutes, he could have killed you 10 times and make you resuscitate 10 times, okay? That's the point. Police, you call them after when the accident or the aggression is already over. And that's not good enough. They think, I'm at that point you should have in your home, in a strategic place. First of all, the best way would be always have it on you. If you're able to carry a gun, somebody at that point is trying to attack you and you have a chance to being able to deploy that gun, that would be the first thing. But even if you had at least in the house, in a secret place that only you know, and when that aggressor is in your home, at least you had a chance to reach the gun, it pretty much was better than just biting him with your teeth. That's the bottom line. So that's the next thing I would like to say. Arm yourself and also have access to the gun. That's why I say the best place to carry the gun, it is not on your purse. It is not in some safe. It is on you. I understand ladies have a different type of attires and different type of situation with their body type, but find a way that you can carry a gun on you every time till you come back inside the house. Don't forget that. It's never. And by the way,
today where I'm living, they did open a shooting range close to me.
Yeah.
And they're looking for instructors if anybody's interested. And I got a security system, so I feel a little safer. And nobody's tried to break in since.
Oh, I understand. Security system is a good start. At least, you can wake up if somebody's trying to break in. But the point is, if your door, let's say, even the strongest door you have, okay? Let's say a metal door, outdoor door. If you don't have a reinforced frame, you can kick that door out of the frame with 2 kicks, even with 1. Okay, that's number 1. Yes, the alarm will ring. Guess what? Meanwhile, that aggressor, if he really wants to get you, he doesn't even care about the alarm. If he's a psychopath, he will kick that door down, and in less than 5 seconds will be in your bedroom on top of you. That's the reality. So my first thing would say, I don't know if you live in an apartment that you are on the ground floor or not. You need to secure the entrances. It is more than just an alarm. The alarm is to give you the sign when somebody is in or is trying to break in. You need to be sure that the door must have at least a reinforced frame. Let me give you a little tip. You can go to Home Depot or any type of this type of hardware shop, and they sell reinforced frames for security. They're not very expensive. They are easy to apply to the original frame. They come with a 6-inch screws. They're about $70-80. At that point, they will make your door a completely part of the wall. And if somebody's trying to kick it, it's not going to go down that easy anymore. And they give you the time to wake up and to have a plan. So that's the first thing I would do. Second thing, of course, you must have like some sort of when you can see through the door, a little system that you have at least an eye, you can see somebody knocking the door, and don't put a chain. The chain is a waste. Put a real lock, the little lock. Honestly, I would never open the door to anybody unless I know him. And even if you know me, you must be sometimes careful. Sometimes people can trick you using somebody.
Well, Luca, I can do that in my house. But what about women who are living in apartments?
No, I understand.
I mean, whatever their landlord does, they can't do anything.
Oh, listen, the type of modification in apartment is very easy. It's a $70-80 a piece of metal. It's like a long piece of metal that you can add with some screws. They come with at the door, and you can remove it when you leave the rental or whatever. So it's not like a big changing of structure. So it's doable. I would suggest to do to anybody. Then also, if you can, buy also this jam at night, for example, for your bedroom, okay? If you have a bedroom with a door, be sure that your bedroom door is not just the typical hollow door that normally you have in homes. Buy an exterior door, much stronger, and if you can, there are these jammers that they are little bit of jammer that you can put under the door and put always one under the door. And there are also now the little jammer that in case for $10, $12, very inexpensive, you can find them online. If somebody's trying to push the door, the jammer will start to make a big noise like a siren, and you will wake up. That's very important because when you sleep, I don't care how strong you are, how fast you are, and how many guns you have. If you're sleeping and somebody breaks into your home and you don't have a chance to see it coming, guess what? You're dead. You're gone. So that's the point. You got to think about these things. Now, very important, when you go to work, or even better, when you come back from work, especially if you have a regular job, like, let's say at night you work as a nurse or things like that, and avoid the pattern. Don't always use the same street. Don't always use the same type of routes. Change. If you have to change, even wait, do something, because somebody wants to follow you. They know exactly where you are, at what time you are, every day of the week. You need to be make it more interesting, okay? And more important, follow your instinct. Do you have any questions? Anything I could try to help you in answering you?
Well, I did have the two questions about the charges, and I kind of looked it up and found the answer that, yes, they gave the lesser charges, so he wouldn't get anything anyways, or very little, as far as a sentence. And the other one, I felt like the DA's office was getting a payback to get rid of me. And I still do, and I think they couldn't do anything when he did it twice, and I was a witness for that lady that he did, so that's when he got something.
Well,
but,
as I said,
like I said,
the police,
today,
they're not
today I'm going to go back to shooting. There's this range that opened up near me, and the security system, and I feel safe around here.
All right.
No.
What type of gun did you shoot? Did you choose? Do you have any specific gun you like?
Oh, I don't know. I was doing just basically handguns, and then he did try a couple of rifles on me.
Yeah, but, the first thing
he got this one, and he said, "You're not going to be able to even hold this one." And I said, "Why?" He said, "This is what they use in the military." And he said, "It's really heavy."
Let me stop you
so
one
I
second.
tried that one.
Let me stop you one second. I mean, I don't know this instructor, but I tell you, it doesn't sound very sharp in my opinion, because somebody, first of all, the first thing you need is a handgun. You're not going to carry around Pennsylvania rifle on your back. Okay, don't get me wrong. The rifle it would be the first thing I would choose if I had to face an aggressor. But the point, you're not going to carry a rifle for many reasons. More important, it's too big to carry concealed. Okay, so you need to find a handgun. That's the handgun is going eventually, if you have a chance, to even fight your way to the rifle if you have a rifle in the house. But regardless, you need to have a handgun that you will carry with you everywhere is allowed by the law in your state. That's what I would start with. A handgun that is comfortable for you, that you can manage the recoil, that fits your hand, and you like the caliber, and also you can practice. That's what I would start with. I wouldn't start to get you afraid with rifles that are used by military. What does it mean that? Sorry, I don't even know why they waste your time with that stuff. They should.
I basically did the pistols, and then he said, "Let's just try this for something interesting," and it was just like a one-time thing.
All right.
But I mean,
my opinion,
I did get the pro marksman, and that's basically with a pistol, right?
You need now to find a handgun that is a choice between a revolver or a semi-automatic. Once you find a handgun and the caliber that you like, at that point you need to find qualified training for that gun. Starting with safety, and more important, starting then how to operate it safely, how to load, how to unload, you start from the basic, how to shoot at a target that is not going to move, because at the beginning you will learn the basic of marksmanship with a very simple static target, starting at 3, 5, 7, even 10 yards. And then once you got all this concept straight, at that point you can advance and say, okay, now I need to learn how to present the gun into a fight. That means the gun probably is going to be in your purse, or maybe on your persona, or your person, like, for example, on your holster, that you must train the presentation and many other things. But you got to find some real professional help. That's what I would say. And as I said, don't just stop the first gun they tell you. People say normally, oh, it's a woman, let's give her a revolver. No way. I believe that, that's not always accurate. You can have probably even easier type of managing handgun with a semi-automatic if you put a little bit of training. Okay, listen, we are out of time. I need to let you go. I give you 60 seconds, whatever you want to say. Close the interview. But the hour is gone. Wow.
Yeah, I would just like to tell all the women out there, with all the things that are going on around the world and even our country against women, you need to get some protection, whether it's going to be a gun or self-defense or whatever, because, you know, we are being attacked. And especially if you're white, if you're blonde. They seem to be going, and the Muslims, I think they go after Christian white blondes, but we're marked, and we need to start defending ourselves.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, and for sharing this information, this sad experience, but at least I hope it can wake up other people out there, other ladies out there. All right, listen, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna. This is exactly the spirit of the show. If you have any story or experience to share, please feel free to contact me. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Send me an email. I'll be happy to hear you. Now, to support the show, this is a different format. This is not a show that we talk about, you know, let's say personalities or things like that. This is your show, our show. So, and we can talk about pretty much everything we want when it comes down to the topics that we know, love, guns, and freedom. Now, if you want to support the show, I need your help. Normally, I can go around asking for sponsors because the type of topics I bring here, they're kind of unique and sometimes controversial. You can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com, see exactly the different things you can get to help the show. One of those, for example, Zanna Coffee, organic coffee, the best organic coffee you can find out, zannacoffee.com, or download any of my songs for 99 cents. And of course, if you are in the Mojave County area, I also offer CCW classes, concealed carry classes at azccw.us, and also handgun training classes. So, I forgot, the latest book just came out on Amazon, Perfectly Crazy, available right now all over the world. Do not go away, ready for our number 3. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna. Ciao.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna on United States.fm network.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and who love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM, and also, of course, on United States.fm network. This is the final hour, the hour about love. In this hour, I'd like to pretty much give you the opportunity to you become the narrator of the stories. You have the show. Yes, we talk about love, we talk about different things, we go from recipes to love stories to dating, anything on the air, but also what I really think a form of love is to give the opportunity to my listeners to have a microphone. That was one of the ideas when I started the show. Love, Guns, and Freedom, I wanted to give the opportunity to the listener to become the narrator, to share their story, their ideas, their opinions without censorship. Yes, you can agree with me or not, doesn't matter. All I ask you always, of course, to have an FCC compliance language. And you can come here and tell things also that completely I disagree. I welcome you. And I promise I will not, shut you up like many other hosts they do. They may just, try to talk over you. I'll let you talk. And of course, then you listen also my version. But that's the idea. Freedom of speech in a civil way. Okay. All right. Now, a friend, a guy that, is not a guy, is a man. But a man that I really appreciate so much. I met him at this point. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years ago. I need to figure it out. But he's an inspiration. We met together in a very unique circumstances at the bandits, what they call standoff. I call it like peaceful protest. We were there in Nevada, and let's put it this way. This man, he could stay home right now, enjoying his wife, his family, and he's no more a guy. As I said, he's a senior man, but he has more energy and stamina than many young people I know, and more important, desire to try to stand up for the truth, stand up to exposing, tyranny, and this really global tyranny that we are facing. And of course, I must tell you, he helped me out a lot also in learning about targeted individuals, something that just 2 years ago I had no clue. I must tell you, that's why I like to be on the show, because I meet different people and I'm always having an open mind to try to learn new things. Doesn't mean that always, every time you tell me something, I'm going to say, yeah, it's right or it's true. But I tell you, I do my researches, and then when I say, wow. And this target individual story, I think it's bigger and bigger, because I realize really this is not just happening in America, it's happening all over the world, and the global final plan, it's scary. But let's talk about something exactly what he has to say. His name is Ken from Michigan. Ken, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Luca.
All right, my friend. I wanted to give you the floor. What's going on? I know that you got some ideas, something that you want to share with us. I give you the floor.
Yes, Luca, I want to talk about the dictator in North Korea, that Otto Warmbier, that President Trump sent Rex Tillerson down there to get him out, and that was a noble thing to do. I mean, we got a dictator down there. They kill people in their prisons, but Luke, and I hate to say this, but our own country, we're doing far worse than North Korea, because we actually think that we got freedom here and we don't have it. Just like this judge in Nevada. If you stand up against the government and you challenge the deep state, then it makes it political. They don't figure that's political. They say they're going to teach you a lesson. Don't stand up. And we got people being tortured and killed in American prisons right to this day all over our country. And most people don't even realize this because they want to believe that our government wouldn't do this. Well, I think we kill far more than North Korea does. And I'm not taking up for North Korea, don't get me wrong. North Korea's got a little fat dictator, and we got a whole bunch of them over here that's just as bad or worse than him. Now, I was going to tell you, look, I don't know if you heard the other day or not, Judge Navarro in Nevada, one guy that got found guilty had a plea deal for 72 months.
Wow.
He didn't really get found guilty, he just took a plea deal for 72 months.
Wow.
She brought him into sentencing, and she berated him and belittled him and everything in front of the audience. The jury wasn't there, but she did in front of the audience and sentenced him. She told him, you talk about our government being tyrannical, and you're exactly what you claim our government is. She said, you should have told Mr. Bundy to pay his fees and get off the land. I mean, she ran and raved for 15 minutes on this poor guy, and then she told him his plea deal was 72 months. She said, I'm giving you 87 months.
Wow. So was even wow. This is pretty
go ahead, Luke.
No, it's just unbelievable. What you said, unfortunately, it breaks my heart, but let's use logic. It's true. We do not have any more justice, okay? And the definition of, let's say, injustice and tyrannical government, I talked about that last Sunday, when you have, let's say, a selective enforcement of the laws. And let's put it out black and white. I mean, there are many cases, of course, but the most recent, the hugest, the one that went public on mainstream media the last few months is called Hillary Clinton. When you have somebody like Hillary Clinton, that this is not a partisan issue, this is about a justice issue. It's not Democrat, Republican. This woman supposed to be facing at least criminal charges. Anybody else that done much less than her right now is spending time in jail, in federal prison. I mean, I interviewed last Sunday U.S. Navy sailor Christian Saucier. It was a submarine guy that took 5 or 6 photos that really innocent. They didn't share any type of classified information, no details. He posted them on Facebook to show him to his little daughter, and this guy, they threw the book at him. His life is ruined. Dishonorable discharge, felony, and he's spending more than 1 year in prison. So that's the point. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton had 30,000 emails on a completely unsecure server. She lied under oath and all this stuff, and she's running around like she's Miss, Joan d'Arc. I mean, this is, for me, right now, we have a problem. This is no more the republic where the rule of law applies to everybody, but this is now, it's a tyranny. It's a soft tyranny because you don't see it immediately. They don't go around dressed like, the dictator from Korea, that they tell you, if you don't do what I say, I kill you. But, guess what? They're going to kill you anyway, because when you go to jail, this type of prisons without any type of due process, and you don't even have the right to be somehow, let's say, have a post bail. I mean, these people, they've been rotting in prison for more than 2 years, no previous criminal record, like the bandits and all these people. They've been treated like a mass murderer. They don't even have a chance to get out of jail waiting for trial. So yes, you're right. Unfortunately, you're right. I wish you were wrong. Go ahead.
Yes. I voted for Trump. I had high hopes for Trump. And I've still got high hopes for Trump. He's our president. I hope he does very well. But why won't he send Rex Tillerson down to Nevada and let him sit in that courtroom he don't even have to sit there all day. All he's got to do is sit there for an hour and hear her tell witnesses that's coming in to testify for these people, you're an unindicted co-conspirator. If you lie, you will leave this courtroom in handcuffs.
Wow.
You'll be charged. Who's going to say if you're lying or not?
Yeah.
He needs to send Rex Tillerson down here. I mean, I'm talking for the Bundys right now. But we got people like the Howmans in Oregon. We got people all over this country that they've had their property stole from them, and when they stood up against the government, they got charged as being terrorists.
Yeah.
These guys, since Bundy Ranch, it's been 3 years, Lucas, since me and you met.
Yeah, 3 years. You're right.
Wow. They haven't committed any crimes, but yet when they got them in Nevada, they're a risk to society. So they can't. None of them can get out of jail in Nevada. Nobody's been released on bail or anything. I mean, they can't even prepare for their own case. They've all got public defenders, and we know what public defenders are. They sit there and hope that they don't say nothing to make the judge mad, because they're hoping that they get another case signed to them and they get their $100,000. That's why they give them $100,000 for each one of them. But yet the government spends $5 to $6 million on each one of them, trying to get them convicted. And our system is upside down. It's not a free society. We don't have a free courtroom. We've lost everything. If people don't start paying attention to what's going on, that's the reason I want to come on today and say a few things.
Yeah. No, this is very serious, and I'm sorry. It is true. I mean, when, first of all, the Constitution is being tossed out the course, it doesn't exist anymore in our judicial system. And it is not just now, long time, but for sure now it's on the open. If you mention even the Constitution in our courts, they're going to laugh at you first. And then, of course, they're going to tell you, you got to stop it or you'll be arrested. And this is not a joke. I mean, this has happened just the last Bundy's trial. People were having Constitution in their pocket and they were told to stop it. I mean, this is serious stuff. And more important, the selective enforcement of the law. They decide who pretty much, it's very simple. As the slave, they will throw the book at us for anything. But them, politicians and any other person in the higher power structure, they can do whatever they want. I mean, even General Petraeus, for God's sake, that, technically he broke some, very serious confidential laws and all the stuff. I mean, after all, it was just a slap on his hand. The same charges it would have been like another U.S. Navy sailor or any other sailor or any other regular grunt out there. Bang, 1 year in prison at least, and your life is ruined. No more pension, no more benefits, and dishonorable discharge. So that's wrong. So listen, and I tell you, Trump, you're right. I'm having a little problem. Not really, because I was expecting it, but the reality is this. We gave him at least, first half year to create at least a new judicial, let's say, attorney general. And we all know that Hillary Clinton, and let's keep it simple, deserves at least a trial, and I've been sarcastic. I'm not saying she's guilty or not, because still we need a trial. But they're supposed to have enough evidence there to at least have a grand jury and charges and have a real trial like any other of us would have faced at this point. Instead now, we have the new Attorney General. All is concerned about going after the marijuana growers or marijuana consumers. And meanwhile, we know that he also has some sort of connection with private prison. But beside that, the point is not a word about Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, all this evidence that we have of this real collusion and money laundering and all this stuff. Nothing. So I have no more faith into this. I don't know how long he's going to wait, Trump. Seriously. And meanwhile, we have, another thing I was going to ask you your opinion. What do you think about this young man who was in North Korea that, of course, died, at least what the news tell us? I believe that when I say, okay, died, and he was there for more than 1 year. He was probably tortured and beat up to death. But how is it possible that a regular guy decides, I want to go on vacation to North Korea? You don't go there by accident. And first of all, what do you think really was this guy? Was a real regular tourist? Was a missionary? Or maybe was a CIA asset? What do you think?
Luke, I don't know because I didn't follow him very much. I know he's only 22 years old. So he could have been working for the government, maybe trying to take pictures because they sentenced him to 15 years. And then I guess they did torture him. And I think it's terrible. No matter who he was, it's still terrible what they done to him. But the thing is, I don't want to go to North Korea. And I have people all the time tell me, if you don't like America, why don't you go to North Korea? I said, well, I love America. It ain't that I don't like America. I love it. I want to change it back to what it should be, where the Constitution applies and everybody's got freedom and everybody's got their rights and the deep state don't decide who can have a business and who can't, and they put regulations on you and shut you down. That is a dictator. That is the little fat guy from North Korea.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care for a lot of the countries the way they're ran.
Yeah.
But you know what? Ours is being run the exact same way because we're doing the exact same thing that they're all doing.
Yeah. My only question is this. No, what I was trying to get with this is this. North Korea guy, North Korea in general, is being propped up by the New World Order. I tell you how. Every year, North Korea, he gets, I don't know how many billions of international foreign aids. You know that. Otherwise, they would they would collapse. They would not even have, already now they're collapsing. Their system, the socialistic Marxist system sucks. As much as they think that is the greatest, without the international money that we give him, United States probably the number one, they would go out of business. They have no business. The only thing they can do is eat and survive. Of course, the generals and the elite, they have their fat belly, as you can see, but the average poor North Korean citizen is like borderline eating dogs. Seriously, the dogs are gone, cats are gone. There are some cases they also say they eat themselves. So my point is this: if you really want to shut down that system, all you have to do, let them stay alone. Stop sending the check. No more money to North Korea. The people, they have to revolt. Something should happen. By the way, what do you want from us? At that point, they have no excuse. They need to come and beg for help. And the only thing I would say as a help, you better start to reopen your socioeconomic system and realize that Marxism and socialism sucks, like in Venezuela. But right now, we, like the government, U.S. government, and the rest of the world, we've been forced as a taxpayers to pay for North Korea for this international aid. So they keep it prop up like they're always ready to have the boogeyman that we need, of course, to create some new war. That's what I'm concerned. And more important is this. This young man that was there, we don't know the story. I don't know the details. I wish somebody could give me more. But I just go now for hypothesis. I try always to look at the other angle. You don't go there if you're a tourist, unless you're a crazy masochist guy. You want to go, enjoy North Korea for vacation? Are you crazy? Anyway, I think that guy was an asset. At least somebody was sent by the government. Now, we know very well that sometimes government, they use you and they abuse you and they let you go there, even if you had to sacrifice you. Now, you see, this guy, he was caught. And when you get caught in North Korea, and let's say they can say that you are a spy, or at least have the hint, they will kill you. They will make your life very miserable. Now, we have a very much already a President Trump that just a few weeks ago, he was sending ships to North Korea, ready to go to war. Now we have the emotional case. This guy, after all, is a young American man And I feel sorry for him, sorry for his family. So it's even more emotional, even say just a person. And it would restrain the case to go to war against North Korea. This is maybe my crazy conspiracy. I don't know. But what do you think about that? Could be this something was used to create the next few weeks or months, maybe a stronger case to go to war against North Korea?
Oh, I think right now they're trying to get the deep state, Hillary Clinton, Comey, all of them. They're trying to get the attention off of them, so they do want a war.
Yeah.
And whether Trump wants this war or not, I think they're going to push him into a war. Like right now, you heard yesterday that a Russian jet flew within 5 feet of one of our airplanes. You know, so Putin, I think Putin's standing up saying, you know what, you're not going to do it. You're not going to come over here and take out Syria like you think you are and put one of your dictators in over here, so you got another puppet.
Yeah.
So they are wanting a war. They want a war to get the attention off what they're doing, Luca.
Yeah. So
And yes, this guy, the CIA man got him right out of school and told him, here, you can make all this money. You just go over here and you do this and you do that. And he was a spy.
Yeah.
So, it ain't nothing for this government, our government, to throw you under the bus after they use you up like a wash rag.
Yeah, and this is my point. You know, if you really want to shut down North Korea once forever, stop giving him any type of foreign aid. No more, no one dime, no $1, no any type of assistance, no nuclear assistance, nothing. All this stuff, they need to sort it out themselves. They will implode probably in a week. They don't even have enough food to feed their dogs, okay? They have no more dogs. They eat dogs. So that's my point.
Right.
So we don't need to go to war with them. All we need to do is just let them stay on their own. That's it. And maybe
let them start. But look, stop and think about this. Look at how many countries do we give billions of dollars to per year. How many billion dollars, Luca, is our national debt right now? Do you know?
Oh, it's out of control. The official number, we have 20 trillions, but that's just without the unfunded liability, without Social Security, with all the stuff. The point, you're right. I completely believe that any foreign aid is supposed to be stopped right now, not tomorrow, right now. And nowhere in the Constitution says that we, the taxpayers, are supposed to be forced to pay for somebody else's country bridges or food or weapons. That's really completely, you know what is said. When I talk with some conservative people, they all say, oh, we agree, socialism is bad, redistribution of wealth is bad, and I'm all with them. Now, when it comes down to Israel, oh, you got to help Israel, is our ally. I mean, completely nonsense. You know, I have no problem with anybody. I believe that everybody is supposed to have their identity, their national borders, and minded their business. We can trade with everybody, but we're supposed not to cut checks as a foreign aid to anybody, Israel included. But that's all falls down. You know, when it comes down with the conservative I don't know how they call themselves, you know, Christian group. I mean, this is sad, you know, because they try to bring their moral and their religion. And I'm a Christian myself, but I don't go out to start to impose my belief to others. And more important, when it comes down to paychecks, if you really support Israel, it's called open your checkbook and send them a check and do not hide behind our tax dollar, bastards. Am I being too harsh?
Right, exactly. You know, Luca, I always told when I was a kid, charity starts at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And that goes for the government too. We got kids that's actually starving to death right here in America at night, going to bed hungry.
Yeah.
And we're sending billions and billions and billions of dollars and selling Saudi Arabia billions and billions of dollars in weapons and stuff so they can go over there and destroy these other little countries. Why are we involved in that? Because there's money in it.
Yeah, and you know, and one thing is very important. Let's distinguish a charity from government, let's say robbery / assault, robbery. Because the point is, you know, I want to do a charity. I say, okay, I like to donate to this cause or to this group or to this church. That's my free will. But when governments start to say, oh, you better start to cough it up at the end of the year, and that's it. That's not charity. That's extortion. Okay? So that's different. Any other thing you want to bring? What's going on in Michigan? Any news with the smart meters? Because I tell you, I got some great improvements since I told them these smart meters in my office to be cut off, my life, my health got better.
Yeah, these things are very dangerous. There's a woman I heard the other day. I think I sent you the link to it. She's talking about the grid, what they're doing with these smart meters.
Yeah.
They're forcing these on us because they're a spy grid, so they can keep control of us. Right now, they don't have control of us 100% like they want. They got a lot of control over everything but us right now, and that's what they're fighting for right now, Luca.
Yeah.
Is to get the control over us. Yes, this radiation they're putting out into your house or your company, whatever, and forcing them on you.
Yeah. No, it is very sad. I tell you, a few months ago, I said, okay, let me just do an experiment. I have my place, my warehouse where I work. I wanted to let them put the smart meters. After all, they're not really close to my house. Let me try. But, I forgot that I work most of my time in this office. Well, after even 2 months, let me put it this way, all the symptoms of smart meters intoxication, from noise in your ears, very stressed out, very tired, very bad. I got the list. And I called them, and of course, they try to give you always the little short story, these are not bad, all this stuff. I say, I don't care. I want them out like tomorrow, or even better, yesterday. They put them out. Of course, you had to pay a fee just to come here and remove them. And then you pay an extra fee every month just because, like the mafia, please leave me alone. I give you the blood money. Fine. But guess what? Not even after 3 days later, they were gone. All the different symptoms I had, reading directly from smart meters side effects, they were gone. I would say, oh my God, this was almost worth it just to try it out on myself. This stuff is really bad. And I really believe on the long term, they're killing us with this stuff. That's all I can say.
They're definitely trying to, Luca. But at least you could call them up and give you an opt-out. Here in Michigan, we can't get opt-out now. I got mine locked out, and I've got them I filed court papers against them.
Wow.
And I'm fighting them that way. They allow us to opt-out. You know what the opt-out is? They give you a smart meter and they tell you it's not hooked up, but it's still pinging 1,000 times a day. Them smart meters ping probably 1,000 times a day.
Wow.
Every time they ping, it's sending radiation right through your house.
Wow. That's so sad. And also what is sad, I realize, I'm pretty lucky here. I live in a rural area, and I'm not that close to others like you when you are in more urban area. Because, if you live like in a city, even if you say no to yours, you're going to get the one next door that is just 20 yards from your home, okay? So it's like almost like you're surrounded by a perimeter of these smart radioactive bombs, okay? So it's very sad. You're trapped in the city, and I tell you, I really realize what it does, especially for young-born and for, it can change your DNA. You can like you're under a microwave all day long. And this is not just to save a buck. I really believe, beside the factor of control, they can pretty much manipulate and tell you how much water you're using, how much electricity you're using a day. By the way, in Sacramento, California, they were trying to pass a law that with a smart meter, they can decide, if you're using too much air conditioning, and they can directly regulate the temperature in your home directly from Sacramento. All that because global warming, that we know is a fraud anyway. So anyway, that's my point. It's beyond 1984. It's also an health issue, in my humble opinion. Listen.
Yeah,
go ahead.
We're way beyond 1984.
Yeah, we are like, my God, this is on steroids. I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to say, people want to reach you, anything you want to say about anything, you have 60 seconds. Go ahead.
You know what, Luke, I appreciate you bringing me on today. And, my main deal has been to target individuals because I am a target individual. And people better check into that because right now at this point, I think they're targeting everybody in the United States with this technology.
Yeah.
So they ought to go in and Google up target individuals and see how many thousands of people's out there. The other day, some girl came on Fox News and said they're actually targeting over 20 million Americans.
Wow.
So that's just a start. And this girl's got the research and she's going to be bringing that out for long. So maybe that's what it'll take to wake the Americans up. I sure hope so.
Well, I tell you, I believe that target individual now, with the technology that we were talking here, they have it pretty together. It's not just, as you said, just America. This smart meter technologies now is mandatory all over Europe. All over Europe. My mother in Italy, she lives in a little apartment, and I'm trying to bring her away from there. That's another story. It would take an hour just to see the nightmare to get legally a person here when you're a U.S. citizen and you are not a Muslim. It's very difficult. But beside that, I regress. My point is, they came the other day to her house and said, this is the European Community regulations. You have no option. Open the freaking door and you will put a smart meter. That's it. That's it. So, that's what
we're coming to that too, Luca.
I know, but you know what? Here we have a couple of things. They still try to, they push, don't get me wrong. In some state they push hard. Look at California, the vaccines, forced vaccination, New York. But in some states like Arizona and other places like that, they still give you this option. Because they know that if they push too much the envelope, there is a point people are going to say, you know what, screw you. And we still have guns in this country. Believe it or not, it makes the difference. I understand that because in Europe, I can see how really it's completely, everything's done. There is no debate. You are a serf, you are a slave, shut up, open the door, or we send you the SWAT team right now. That's what they do. But anyway, I don't want to get excited because I'm getting really stressed out over this. Listen, Ken, thank you very much, my friend. Keep me in touch, and every time you want to call, you're welcome, okay?
Okay. And Luca, thank you for having me today.
Thank you. And that was Ken Rhodes from Michigan. As I said, guys, this is the show for everybody. Please don't come here and try to talk too much about you, everything about you. I mean, if you have something about you that is concerned about the rest of us, you're welcome. But I don't want to become like a personal call, okay? So that's why I like Ken. Ken talks about topics that they are important to everybody. So anybody who wants to come on the show, it's very simple. You go to lovegunsfreedom.com. You know what type of topics I talk about here. As I said, if you want to talk about, I don't know, the Kardashian or football, wrong place, okay? But if you want to talk about freedom, love, and guns, this is the place. Now, if you go to lovegunsfreedom.com, you can find my email. Shoot me an email with your phone number. I'll call you back, and we will record the interview, okay? All right, little break. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. Do not go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Are you ready to get lost in lust? Immerse yourself in a thunderstorm of emotions and passion. Order Gianluca Zanna's new book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 erotic visions and love poems with forbidden erotic Italian phrases. Perfectly Crazy by Gianluca Zanna. Available all over the world at Amazon.com and www.zanna.us.
Okay, back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. And also, of course, on lovegunsfreedom.com. I'm pretty excited. As you heard from the spot, the commercial, it's kind of a little funny somehow. I like that voice, though. It's kind of a funny, little sensual, erotic voice of that lady that I hired for my little commercial, my new book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 erotic poems and love visions by Gianluca Zanna. Now, as I said, this is the hour about love. We've been talking about serious topics. Don't get me wrong. This is not like I try to put down erotic poems or things like that. But compared to the gravity of things we are facing as humanity, these are not exactly what you say, oh my God, the things that must be completely, I don't know, that's going to make a dead or life situation. But one thing for sure, think about it, there is a reality at the end. The reality is we are human beings. We need time to fight, to stand up for what is right, to be active, to commit ourselves. Don't be slobs. To be involved. It's otherwise what means to be alive? Just go to eat and sleep and go back to sleep like a slave? No, you got to do your part. But at the same time, there is a moment that you need to switch it off. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. We cannot lose our humanity. We cannot lose our even sense of pleasure for life. Otherwise, it's all become like, a battle. Even warriors, when go to battle, guess what? At night, they have a little party time. And that's the idea. I'm not saying that we have to have party, but let's say enjoy each other. Let's try to at least enjoy life. That's what I'm trying to say. Because at the end, we are here for a limited time. And really, it really wouldn't be fair to just dedicate completely only to work or what we call commitment or the cause of freedom, because we need to recharge. I really believe that. Anyway, so the book is out. It took me probably about 6 months. It is let's say, a summary of different poems. The poems, of course, they're about Eros. They're not poems for if you're a priest or if you are a nun. I don't know, maybe they do sex too, have sex too, probably. But anyway, if you're a person that you're not really comfortable with this type of topics, when it comes down to Eros, sensual visions, erotic, strong visions, don't buy it. Please, I do not want to hear from you that, oh my gosh, what did I get? No. I can give you the idea of the titles here, okay? Just to give you an idea what type of art topics we're talking about. First of all, you should go to Amazon, amazon.com, okay? All you have to do is you can put just my name, honestly, Gianluca. Let's see, Gianluca Zanna. Or go to zanna.us. There is the link directly to the page, zanna.us. If you go to Amazon, you put Gianluca Zanna, and my songs you can find there, more than 100 songs. And then, of course, there is also the book. Technically, it's an ebook. That means you can download it immediately. You don't need to wait, shipping, and then, of course, it's going to cost you much more. No, the ebook, it's available instant download for just $4.99. I'm thinking about rifles here. $4.99. Okay? And let me give you an idea. You can also open the cover. There is, by the way, a cover. And by the way, I really appreciate the help and the input from all my Facebook friends, especially ladies, even guys, who helped me out the last few months when it came down to decisions. What type of cover am I going to use? This photo or that photo? Well, I'm glad that I have such a great Facebook friends. I like their input, and a lot of my things I've been doing, honestly, is through them. Just with your help. I like to hear what you think. So anyway, there are 2 different covers. Yes, this book, by the way, the cover number 1, it's me hanging on a tree, semi-naked, like a monkey. This was the time when I had long hair, in my mid-20s, early 20s, and I was a windsurf instructor. Exactly that photo was in Sardinia Island, in Italy. And summertime, wintertime, I used to go probably around Canarias and other islands. Anyway, the point is it's a photo of my past. People say, why did you put a photo of 20 years ago or so? Because, first of all, that photo is symbolic. This book is called Perfectly Crazy. That photo looked really like a nut. Hanging like a monkey on the tree, smiling and being all happy and having a great life. And I started to write probably most of my erotic poems, the little wild ones, down there at that time. I was a pretty active guy, and let me tell you, I never been a person that I need to just have sex. No, I don't need to have sex. This is sex for me. It's always connected to a feeling, an infatuation, a sensation. I would almost say dare to call it love. I know people say, "Why how can you call love something so instant?" So maybe even I don't know. At the moment, I understand. Maybe love for a guy at 20 years old is different than from a man at 40 something. Maybe they're different goals. But falling in love, it doesn't need to be something. Oh my God, the love of my life. I need to get married to the person. No, it could be even just love, just for the moment. The special attraction that is beyond physical. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yes, I always had that feeling. I always had that type of need. It wasn't just about physical attraction. I needed to find the sparkle, the sense of also respect, the sense of, I don't know, synchronicity, to be in tune. If I don't like you as a person, I don't want to have sex with you. Simple as that. I must respect you, must like you. That's the idea. So anyway, so the book has 2 covers. That's not an accident. First cover, me hanging like a monkey. And the second one, it's me smiling. Pretty much it was one of my best photos. One of the shots that I took always when I was a windsurf instructor. So that's the idea. Then, of course, there is also a free audio version included. How does it work? First of all, don't forget, not only you get 69 erotic visions and love poems. By the way, this book is rated 18 plus. I would say at least 69 years old plus. Okay, explicit content, very explicit. So you got 69 poems. Then you have forbidden Italian erotic phrases, and then you have free audio version included. Let me tell you how it works. You already got somebody say, "Hey, where is my audio book?" You buy the book for $4.99. Then at page number, let's see, about page 2 or 3, you will find the special secret email. To get free audio version of the book, email me. There is my email, but it's not my regular email. So you send me the email with your first last name, and I'll send you the copy of the special page where you can download the book. Audiobook, yes. And by the way, I'm almost finished. So in case you buy the book like right now, the book has just been released a couple of days ago, and already got people say, "Where is my book? I bought a copy." Don't worry about it. I'm here working for you. It's a free audio version. Anyway, so that's the story. Now, let me give you an idea of the titles, because I really want to be sure that you understand if this book is for you or not. And I also have a little premise. I'm not here to convert, to say what is right or what is wrong, or to be holy man or a special man. No, I'm a regular guy. Let me tell you, I'm very a regular human being. I got my limitations, I got my good sides, and I have my weaknesses. And maybe I'm not a good Christian. Maybe, I'm not exactly what I'm supposed to be when it comes down to sexuality or morality. I'm a little bit free, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'm a loyal person and I don't cheat, but I had my life, and I'm proud of it. Yes, I am. I enjoy every second I had. So that's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not here to judge others, but please, if you don't like what I write, if you don't like my content and the poems and all these erotic visions, you think I'm a sinner, I'm going to burn in hell, please, spare me the sermon. I really never made you my personal priest. I can stand priest, by the way. Not because there's some good men out there, there may be also good priests. But I don't like the middleman between me and my God. That's the bottom line. Simple as that. So don't judge me, and I will not judge, okay? So let's start. The table of contents. First of all, there is the biography. If you don't like, you get bored, skip. Biography, my biography. And there is a little intro, pretty much telling you what I just told you. Don't piss me off, okay? So don't start to write me emails or Facebook messages out of the blue and try to convert me, okay? No thanks. I want to be what I am, and don't start to give me sermons. Now, title of the first poem, Against That Tree. Well, pretty generic, after all. Against the tree. You can think whatever you want, but that's the poem. Poem number 2. S, with 2 S, I see you. As I see you. That's pretty cute. I must tell you, I like that one. As I See You. Poem number 3, Beyond Evil. I was pretty mad, I guess. Beyond evil. This person must be beyond, she was beyond evil. Poem number 4, Beating Around Your Bush. You know, there is the expression, beat around the bush. I made it a little poem called Beating Around Your Bush. So you get an idea what you get. Poem number 5, Blow Me Away. That's an expression, blow me away, you blow me away. What can I say? Point number 6, that also was a song technically. It is a song, it's the lyric of a song that I wrote when I was in my 20s, exactly that photo. You see me hanging like a monkey when I was Tarzan. It's Chiara. It's an Italian song. I also made it as a poem. There is also the English translation. You know, the beautiful thing, you can change the name and make it your own poem. I think it's pretty powerful words. I mean, I was really touched, and I wrote. Every time I've read something, I'm touched. I just don't write stuff because I need to feel these emotions. I need to feel the pain. I feel the joy. Feel the horniness. I need to feel all the stuff. I'm not a faker. You understand that? I need to put myself in a situation and go through. That's the only way I can write. Poem number 7, Coffee and BJ. Well, there is a restaurant called BJ's. I can make a poem called Coffee and BJ. Well, that's a very interesting poem, short but very cute. I really like, that's a ritual. Coffee and BJ. Poem number 8. Let's move on before the FCC going to start to get concerned. Diamond Drops. Well, you can think whatever you want. Number 9. Let's say it's called the shortest poem probably I ever wrote, at least in this book. Depth. D-E-P-T-H. Depth. Well, I think I read it one time with some censorship on the air, but, in case you're curious, poem number 9, Depth, directly from the book Perfectly Crazy, 69 Erotic Poems and Love Visions by luca-zanna. Poem number 10, Disappeared. You were disappeared. Poem number 11, Driving in the Night. It's true. I drive in the night. Let me tell you something. I really have a lot of inspirations. Some people need to, go to the toilet, to the bathroom, or whatever, to find inspiration. All I have to do is jump in the car, and I start to get my mind clear, and I know what I want, and I start to envision and visualize things and what things I want to do. And also, when it comes down to emotions, I really somehow find a lot of clarity in my mind. I must tell you, I like it. It's a good feeling to drive for miles, especially here. I wouldn't like to drive, for example, in a big city with the traffic and, crazy people driving around, cut you off like in Vegas or things like that. But if you live in the desert here in Mojave County, or at least in this very rural area, I'm telling you, it's pretty beautiful to drive sometimes, and just you don't even see a car for hours sometimes in some roads, okay? I like it. So it's a beautiful sensation. So that's the story. That's the idea of the poem, Driving in the Night. I drive in the night. I write a lot of stuff. Poem number 12, Enough. That's pretty much, I was mad. Enough. Poem number 13, Finally Alone. Well, some people are happy when they're alone. Yes, I am. When I wrote that song, I was really happy. Finally. Poem number 14, For You. This also was a song, probably one of the most, I like it a lot, one of the most beautiful romantic songs. I did 2 versions, one for female singer and one for the man singing to the woman. Originally it was a poem though, and now I brought it back here as a poem in this book. It is a romantic poem, by the way. It's not really anything erotic or strong visual things, but I like it. It's my opinion. Maybe I should read it later, when we finish this. Poem number 15, Gently Around Your Neck. As you can see, I put all these poems in alphabetical order, so you get easy to find. Gently Around Your Neck, that's all I can tell you, I can't say more. Poem number 16, Good Morning, Darling. This is pretty cute, I must tell you. That's all I can tell you. Okay? I wasn't mean talking. All right. Poem number 17. Good night, darling. Poem number 18. Heaven. I mean, these are pretty romantic poem. You know, there's a very big mix between strong sensuality and very deep emotion. Let's say also, let's say romantic. It's a mix. People, you know, I already have some feedback, and I appreciate it, by the way. I really do. Look, I use too many times the word F-U. It's true. I use it. But doesn't mean that, you know, people say, no, we like the romance stuff, but, you know, F-U is too much brutal, stuff like that. Guys, girls, ladies, let me explain something. I have two personalities, okay? One, I'm very romantic. It's true. I have a lot of emotions. I need to feel emotions. I have probably more sensitive than the average guy out there. And I write romantic stuff. You can see some of my poems there. I think they're really almost, they don't even mention sensuality. It's about feelings, okay? Deep feelings. Speaking about deep, I also have another side. It's my animal side. That doesn't mean because I like the word F-U means that I don't feel things, or I don't love you, or I don't love that person. I never had sex just because of sex. I want to be sure that's clear. Not because I need to justify myself to anybody. Be clear. I mean, this is who I am, okay? But I want to be sure I understand. And so much that I wrote a little intro. Here the journey I start, sharing with you the light and the dark. I must love to have you, even for one night. This is who I am. This is how I live. This is how I die. Okay? So that's the bottom line. And yes, I like also to use the word because I have the instinct that is really pretty much, I couldn't call it any other way. At the same time, I still have feelings. I still chosen that person. It is not just somebody out of the street. Okay? So, I'll explain to you. I don't know. Maybe I hope I'm clear. All right. So, good morning, darling. Good night, darling. 17, 18, heaven. 19, hope and illusions. 20, I need to tell you. 21, if this bed could talk. Wow. Pretty nice. 22, I love. And then it says all the things I love. 23, in this room. 24, I pull your braids. 25, I thank your gods. Interesting. You can find out what it means. 26, I think of you. 27, I was an idiot. 28, light within the dark. 29, like to. 30, lost in this town. 31, lost in your eyes. 32, love is not fair. 33, love and destiny. 34, majestic view. 35, more than beautiful. 36, my hand on your butt. That's pretty simple, eh? Straight there. 37, my universe. See, we go from these pretty much heart-to-heart messages, you know, my hand on your butt. I mean, how can you be clear more than that? To my universe. Two different worlds completely, but still me. And I like this part of me. You know, I like to be, you know, feelings and romantic if you want to do it, you know, a deep emotion at the same time to be like a freaking animal. I love it. I don't know. Sorry. I probably need to control myself here. All right. Nel mezzo del cammino di nostra vita, in the middle of my, you know, of our life, or my life in this case. It's a phrase, by the way, I took from Divina Commedia from Dante. Okay? I didn't write that, but then I elaborate. Poem number 40, Night on a South Pacific Island. I wrote that poem probably I was 19 in Polynesia. And my English was probably close to zero, and I still was able to write something. Because I had really strong emotions I needed to put down before, you know, the sunrise came. 41, Norse Goddess. 42, Nothing is Worth It. 43, Overrated. 44, One More Time. 45, Oil and Water. 46, One Way Love. 47, Oh My Dear. 48, On the Road. 49, Pain. Not like pain, money, like pain, physical pain. Pain, you know how you say it. 50, Perfectly Crazy. 51, prayer. That's not the type of prayer you can imagine, okay? It's a different prayer. Maybe I should read that one. 52, regrets. 53, riding in the dark. 54, shooting stars. Different stars. 55, simple as death. 56, struggle. 57, D1. 58, thinking of you. And by the way, thinking of you, it is also one of my songs, probably one of my first songs I wrote when I came to America. And I wanted to share the lyrics because I think they are beautiful lyrics, very romantic. 59, trapped between your legs. I mean, how can be that's as romantic as that? Trapped between your legs. That's a romantic vision. 60, triangle. 61, two worlds colliding. 62, 2 against 1. That's an unfair fight. 63, under your spell. 64, under the shower. 65, under the stars. 66, your mouth. 67, wild is the night. 68, shut up and, as I think I can say, suck me. Oh yeah, it's FCC doesn't care about suck me. 69, sex, final word. Then there is the final little chapter, Lucas phrases, some, little phrases I wrote. More important, the final part, Italian forbidden erotic phrases. That's beautiful. And I can tell you those. Now, people say, wow, how dare you? Probably, yeah, if I was in Iran or maybe, I don't know, North Korea, my head would be chopped. Guess what? I love to be in America also because I have the right to express myself to people who want to listen to me. You don't need to listen to Luca if you don't like these poems, if you think, as I said, my morals are different from yours, and beautiful thing, you don't need to buy this book. For like-minded people who enjoy life and have this sort of conversations and writing poems and expressing our emotions and feelings, this is beautiful. I enjoy doing it. And I'm glad that I can freely do it here in this country. People say, but you really have to do that? Yes, I do, because I like it. That's the bottom line. How beautiful to be able to do things that you like and also can pay maybe some bills. That's, I consider a privilege, in my opinion. So anyway, I want to thank you, listeners. I want to thank the readers of my book. I already received great feedback. And I already have different readers from around the world already contact me just a few hours when the opening from this selling the book on Amazon. So I want to thank you. It really humbles me, this. After all, this is from a guy that barely can speak English. To write an English book of poetry is kind of an honor. Okay, so I want to thank you a lot. If you want to buy this book, it's just $4.99, free shipping. You can also give it to your girlfriend. You can play around, maybe you can just steal some of my poems and go to your boyfriend or your girlfriend and just have fun. You say, I want to read a poem for you. Maybe you can turn them on. Seriously. I really think these poems can give you some spice in your sex life and love life. I really do. Because I enjoy when I read them. I enjoy also when I write them. So maybe I feel the same for you. I hope so. So anyway, you can go to www.zanna.us. You can find the link. There is the cover of the book. Go straight to Amazon, $4.99, and bang. Wait, you know what I mean. Bang, you get a book, okay? Speaking about bang, start your day with a bang. Straight Shot Espresso by Zanna Enterprises. It's Zanna Coffee, of course. You can go to www.zannacoffee.com. Now, I really want to say thank you very much for listening to this Sunday show. I hope you can eventually listen to the show again in case you missed the first hour. Great interview with Leo Zagami from Rome, Italy, Illuminati insider, and of course also the second hour, great news, information, very devastating information when it comes down to, a woman surviving attempt murder. Serious stuff. You can go to lovegunsfreedom.com where you can listen to the show again and also share the YouTube with anybody you know, okay? I appreciate your help. Thank you very much, and thanks again for listening to KTOX 1340 AM, because this is one of the really few stations I know around the country that pretty much allow this type of information. Very different information from normally what you get from commercial stations. Thank you. God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday. Ciao.